Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised. Welcome back to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. My name is James McCarthy.
My name is Ethan Skinner.
Jody Kite.
I'm Brady Davis.
I like Jody's just straight to the facts. Just the facts, ma'am. Just Coming up later tonight, we're going to do one of our chalkboards. The top 5 games that we would bring on a deserted island. Can't wait for that one. But we're going to wait a little bit because we're going to see out what we've been doing in the past week. Jody, hit us off.
I've been listening to a lot of ElectroPop music, mainly from like a few years ago. Stuff that actually may exist before like Billie Eilish broke out in like 2015, 2014. Certain artists by the name of Upsale and there's M.O., which M.O. is like, there's a 0 there. Cruel Youth. She sounds a lot like, I can't remember, my memory is a sieve. The chick that sang like the retro swing music that died of the
Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, she has a very Amy Winehouse kind of vocals to her. She's really cool. She's got Cruel Youth. She's got a song called Mr. Wilson, and it's very cool. It's like Mr. Wilson. Everyone knows I've been cheating with you. So it's a different spin on that. It's good stuff. And then there's another Tessa Violet. Who she started on YouTube back in the heyday, but not in music, just as a vlogger. She was Mika Kitty.
Okay, now I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Right. And she's carved out a little indie rock pop, electropop scene for herself. Her good song is one of her best ones is Crush. Very catchy, very niche.
That isn't any relation to Alyssa Violet.
No.
Okay, just checking.
Another one is Tove Strike. She's English. And also there is, I don't know if I mentioned Upsell. I think I already mentioned Upsell. She's got a lot of really cool songs that are like anti-single culture kind of thing. Like she's got a song called "I Don't Fuck with Feelings Anymore." It's very cool. It's very cool stuff. That's what I've been listening to the past week or two. And then I watched In the Heights last night, which is the Lin-Manuel Miranda movie adaptation of the musical of the same name.
Which I think that was his first production.
It was.
That's a hell of a thing to kick off a production career.
He wrote that in 2003 while in college because he wanted to be in musical theater, but he didn't feel like there was enough representation for him to actually carve out a section in that he wanted to have. So he wrote his own fucking musical to be in it, and it worked. And then he made Hamilton. Which the guy that played one of his friends and also his son in the Hamilton musical plays the lead actor in this movie.
Yeah, it's dang, I can't remember his name. I used to remember. I used to have his name memorized because I pay attention to all those people. Like I kind of oh, that's him. Okay, cool.
And he's in another movie coming out soon too. I just can't remember what it was. Non-musical.
He was in Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, I believe.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was like the lead character in that. He's joining G.I. Joe at the end of that.
Oh, nice.
Spoilers, everybody, for Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh no, the Hasbroverse is coming together.
Yeah.
But In the Heights is really good. There's only one character I didn't like, and I was talking to Brady about this earlier, and that's the Vanessa character, and it's only because I don't mind the trope of the couple that doesn't happen until later, where there's an initial I like you, but I'm trying to do a career or whatever. But besides that, I loved it. I love the Latin flavor of the music. You get a good representation of all those cultures that are sort of in New York City anyway, kind of blended together sometimes where you have Dominican Republic and you have Puerto Rican and you have Hispanic and Latino and all of that, like kind of mixing together. It was very good. Like all the numbers are really good, really memorable. There's a lot of named actors in that. Like, is it Jimmy Smits? Or is that
Jimmy Smits? Jimmy Smits great.
Yeah,
he's one of those character actors.
He's a
like,
really
cool.
good character actor in that.
The 3 girls from the salon. One of them, that's Stephanie Beatrice. She's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She's in
Has Been, right? She's one of the voices in Has Been.
Yeah,
she's
the
Vaggie.
Vaggie, yeah.
She's also in
she's
the Encanto
She's the lead
movie.
singer. She's the lead character in Encanto.
Oh, okay.
And she does the singing for that too.
Oh, okay.
She's Twisted Metal. She's in a ton of stuff. Like,
it
she's
always
great.
fucks with me when I hear her actual voice because she's so tied to Rosa and just like it's almost Valley Girl.
Yeah,
right.
But the third, one of those that I can't remember her name, but she's not in the original play. They added her because there was a girl who was part of the production. She was an actress, and she died before the film was finished. You can even see there's a mural of her somewhere in the movie. But it's based on her. Like they give her name and
gotcha.
Like she was either involved in the production of the theater production, or she was involved somewhere. She was somewhere in she was like a background person or something. She was something in there that was kind of important. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched stuff on In the Heights. But yeah, the third lady in the third chick, and she's played by one of the girls from Orange is the New Black. But yeah, she wasn't in there, but yeah, I love In the Heights. In the Heights is great.
Yeah, in between the second and third act, I'm watching this movie and I'm like, oh, these motherfuckers set me up to cry. I just know they are.
Oh yeah, that Abuela song is heartbreaking.
I knew what was happening before it happened. Like I could already feel that. I was like, he's like, "Are you feeling okay?" I'm like, "You motherfuckers, you motherfuckers, you're gonna fucking make me cry."
If you're going to have a song named Grandmother,
right?
Yeah, you're gonna cry.
She was in the original. She was the grandmother in the original production.
Yeah, I watched some of the behind the scenes after I watched the movie because I had the DVD that I found at Dollar Tree for $1.25, and I was
oh my
like,
God, they've upcharged you 25 cents at the Dollar Tree.
they have shit for $5 in there.
I'm making a joke. You sock fucking little retic bastard.
Yeah, welcome to being undermined on your bits.
Yeah.
Kill.
Friday the 13th Part 7 was the best one. So moving on.
I can't remember
That's
which one.
That's the psychic girl.
Oh, the psychic girl one.
Because it had a psychic battle.
It would have been better if they hadn't cut out so much.
Yeah, they had to cut out a lot.
For me, 1 is still the best, but
One is the best because it's a murder mystery.
And I can support 7 as far as because if you're gonna have all this stupid shit, just full
Lean into
throttle.
it.
In the Jason verse, like 7 and X are my favorite because they're the most over.
I love
so
Jason.
They're so
bad, but it's
they're so
fun to watch.
ludicrous.
X is fun.
It is. It's a fun Nano Jason. Come on, man.
So he's known as Uber Jason.
Yeah.
Uber Jason.
You want to smoke weed and have premarital sex?
We love premarital sex.
Jesus.
Proceeds to kill them in a sleeping bag.
Well, I mean, they're holograms, so as he's beating them in the sleeping bag, they're
That's how you hijack a fucking person's section. There you go.
Yes.
They should have just kept him in like the holodeck area, and he could have just killed infinite amounts of people.
Right.
Why didn't they do that?
Because
If you've ever watched any episode of Star Trek involving the holodeck, you know it's going to cause more problems than it's
probably,
going to solutions.
like getting stuck on that motherfucker or trying to figure out how to pilot the
Well,
ship
it has to,
inside
because
of
if
it.
you think about the holodeck too long, then you realize, why don't they just not come out of the holodeck? Like, what the fuck?
They had an episode where they had to simulate how to pilot the ship inside the holodeck.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. The first episode, I remember, so there's this fictional character like Dixon Hill. He's basically like a pulp era detective.
Yeah.
And Picard loves him.
Picard
He's like,
plays
we're gonna
as
do this.
Dixon Hill.
But somebody took the safety measures off. Don't ask why. They just did.
Right.
And so like bullets are real.
Yeah.
And so people are like getting shot and shit. And like so that's to set this up. So the main gangster, his name's Cyrus Redblock.
Yeah.
And he's played by this, like, at the time, like, he would have been, like, 55. He probably, like, hi, I'm Cyrus Redblock. It's like, except that's the person, like, he's been acting in so many gangster movies as a bit part. He just can't get out of that.
Yeah.
And Will Wheaton, like, was like, hello, sir. I heard you did that. Yeah, I've been around. Hey, you play football? It's like, and I go, no, sir, I don't. I'm too small. It's like, what are you, an F word? And, like, he didn't say F word.
Yeah.
It's like, no. It's just, well, you wouldn't be an F word if you played football. I'm like, I feel so bad for Will Wheaton. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, for a trope, they always had safety issues inside the holodeck after that.
Yeah.
My favorite use of the holodeck is in Star Trek First Contact, where they Picard and this chick these with running there, and they're being chased by the Borg, and he starts some movie or book or something like that.
Yeah, it's
a gangster movie, and he was like, and then
it's like a
go to the specific part, and he like it's like this party, and he like reaches behind the bar and pulls out a Tommy gun and says, turn off safety measures, and
he shoots a Borg with a Tommy gun.
Picard blowing away a Borg with this like look of hatred on his face.
Not even the look of that. He goes, ah! Oh my
screaming.
And then on the show, Riker falls in love with a hologram.
Yeah.
That's
well, if somebody was going to fall in love with the hologram, it was going to be Riker. Come on.
Take Captain Kirk. Take away his responsibility and his power.
That's Riker.
No. And you put that in on the captain.
Give him
That's
a cool way to
Picard.
sit into a chair.
Everything else, Riker.
Yeah,
but
like,
after season one,
they split Kirk into two different characters.
But it's after season one though, because Riker was just a straight up dick in season one.
Yeah. Well, that was the one where he fell in love with the lady in the holodeck.
Yeah.
That was to
Wow,
we are
Yeah.
so derailed.
Yeah.
All right.
God damn.
That's all I've done this week.
Okay, thank God. Ethan, bring us back to order.
What kind of fucking
We're
detour
gonna
did I
have
experience?
we're gonna have a rest stop for fucking Star Trek. Jesus.
That wasn't just Star Trek. That was Friday the 13th.
Yeah, we went hard.
Go for it.
Thank you, Jason's Wind.
Were you trying to do the echo yourself?
Is
there?
that what we're naming that? Jason's Wind? I like that.
Jesus Christ.
Jason Wind.
I have never heard it referred to as that.
we patent that shit.
Jason's Wind.
Okay. So I had a really good Valentine's Day with Bianca last week.
You had a good with the person, yes. But give your review of Giuseppe's.
That's a good review.
Giuseppe's was a waste of $100. Like, after many people have said, "Oh, Giuseppe's, that's a really good place." Jay being one of those people. No, it was not.
It may have once been.
No,
I will apologize to you. The last time I was in Giuseppe's was pre-Katrina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a long time
There's
ago.
the problem. There's a hard dividing line there.
That's almost 20 years ago.
There's two hard dividing lines. Katrina and COVID.
Oh yeah, shit.
And
yeah.
if you want any more hard cuss sounds in there, that's another divide.
So imagine, if you will, an Italian restaurant. You look on the website.
Imagine, if you will, an Italian restaurant.
On the website, you see a list.
Write down everything he's saying and then do your Rod Serling impression over it.
You see a list of
see a
different
list
types of
Of
Italian
different
dishes.
types of Italian.
Except you go to the restaurant on Valentine's Day. They give you a limited menu with
That's a great time to have a limited menu.
the vast
on
majority
Valentine's Day.
being pastas with seafood. Me and Bianca, we don't eat a lot of seafood, and the only other non-seafood dishes is a chicken parm and steak. And so I don't want chicken parm because I had that earlier in the week. So I'm like, steak, because why not?
Yeah.
And I got the ribeye. She got the fillet. Her fillet was as big as my ribeye. The portion of potatoes was like 2 forkfuls that only tasted like mushed up garlic. They coated the plate in some kind of like red powder that had no taste to it whatsoever for decorations. And
That's food colored cocaine.
Yeah.
okay, even then,
Why
I
did
got
you
no
snort right there?
If it was food colored cocaine, I got no effects whatsoever. So it was just
If it
not
was food
good.
colored cocaine, you probably like actually saved money, to be honest.
That is true. $100 is a lot of red food colored cocaine.
Yeah.
It was absolutely not worth the money that I paid for.
Yeah, I drive by that restaurant so many times, and I was like, that feels like someplace that used to be good. And
I can guarantee you it used to be good.
And I've never had any interest in going there.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, Sweetwater, that shit's delicious.
Sweetwater.
Yeah, it's at the like right when you cross over the bridge.
Okay, I thought you were mentioning the company that I bought the Roadcaster from
No.
because they're also Sweetwater.
I think that's the name of the restaurant. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Is this in?
Is this the?
it's in Biloxi.
Ocean
It's in
Springs
Biloxi?
Bridge.
It's right across from where the Isle Capri used to be. Stillwater, Sweetwater, something like that.
It may
Now I gotta look it up.
because Saltgrass is across from it. now.
That's it. Saltgrass.
Saltgrass.
Never
okay.
mind.
Okay.
I've heard
We
some good
figured it
things
out.
about Saltgrass.
Saltgrass was good.
I've been meaning to
I
go
wasn't
there.
super impressed with it. Like their
grandmother
steak was
loves it.
fine. But it didn't wow me. But it was good. It wasn't
It's
bad.
it's not. I mean, on a scale of like sit down like chain restaurants, it was pretty good. And also like, I ate on a Monday when the lunch specials were in effect.
okay.
Also, so I saved like $10 on my ribs, which also had something to do with.
Speaking of something that didn't excite you, there was a movie trailer that came out today, and I'm going to give you a casting list. And I want you to tell me what they all have in common. Okay.
Okay.
Kate Blanchett. Right. Ariana Greenblatt. Right. Jack Black. Jamie Lee Curtis. And Kevin Hart.
Borderlands. They're in the Borderlands
Playable
movie.
characters.
They are in the upcoming Borderlands movie.
Yes.
Yep.
I saw it. It doesn't look bad, but
Aesthetically, they hit it.
yeah,
I will say
aesthetically,
that.
they hit everything that the game has.
Yeah.
It's like I see it. Okay, yes, I see that this is Borderlands, but from the trailer alone, nothing gave me that like excitement to see it, the anticipation or anything like that.
Right.
And so I feel like it's just gonna be one of those, hey, here's a cash grab movie just because we can make it.
It looks cool, but I'm going to go into it with not expectations.
Yeah.
The fact Kate Blanchett is in this throws my head clear off, except for the fact that she was Hela in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those, like, she just wants to do a dumb movie to pay for her doing these other lesser known movies.
Could be.
Ariana Blatt, since we were talking about In the Heights, she was in The Heights, and she played the daughter in the Barbie movie.
Yeah, that's the other place that I'd seen her. We were talking about that earlier. She was also, when she was really young, she was in some Disney Channel show that my daughter watches.
She plays Tiny Tina.
Yeah. I mean, she everything that I've seen her in, she's been good at whatever she's done. So
and Jack Black voices Claptrap.
Yes.
and I think that will work because, like, in that other show, she was like the youngest child, so she was like super chaotic and everything like that. So I think she can probably pull that off.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't know, like for when the way I am nowadays about movies that are based on a property is 9 times out of 10 I'll just look at it and be like, that's fine, it's whatever. I'm just not gonna get excited about it. I like Borderlands, but I'm not. I never could get far enough in them to where I like really like loved them. I just like them a little bit because it's just there's too much going on and I get distracted and would
I
stop.
love 2. The other ones are
2 is phenomenal.
hit or miss for me, but I still haven't played the Tiny Tina's Wonderland yet. But
Tiny Tina's is really good. I played the prequel game.
the pre-sequel.
Yeah, the pre-sequel.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. My thing, I always tried playing it with Dylan, and it would either devolve into him playing it when I'm not available and him progressing the story without me present, or I'm doing the same thing to him.
I always play those games by myself first, and if I get lucky enough to have people play with me, then afterwards.
Yeah.
I liked Borderlands 1. I don't like Handsome Jack, and if you don't, 2 is just insufferable. Like I didn't like 2. I just don't like that character.
I didn't play 1 first. I played 2 first.
You played 2 first.
I didn't even know
he wasn't. Well, he wasn't in.
He
one.
wasn't in 1.
I know. What I'm saying is like I didn't really. I knew about 1, but it didn't like it wasn't like it was when 2 came out. It was like a big deal because I guess 1 was like got a lot of pull.
Yeah.
But 1 was also like on PS3 and 360 generation, and my 360 had died about that time when that game came out.
Okay.
So it wasn't until I was able to play 2 later that I really started getting into it.
The other thing that I pretty much did was I started playing a multiplayer game with some friends from work, Lethal Company. If you don't know what it is, you are basically employed to the company, and the planet that the company resides on is losing resources and whatnot, and you are contracted by the company to go to these different planets and collect like valuables and sell them and bring back the economy on your home planet. But the planets that you go to is littered with absolute horrifying monsters. Like, hey, there's a little cockroach that skitters around all the place, but if you pick something up in front of it, it grows to 7 feet tall and chases you. And while you're running back to your spaceship, there could be just a forest giant that just comes out of nowhere and stomps on you. And so it's very fun, and it has proximity chat. And so when you're playing with other people, you can just hear them not speak for the rest of the time while you're playing.
Oh,
it's horrifying and
See, now
quite
I like
funny.
that because that way the group has to stay together. So yeah.
Yes.
We've just received a vital shipment of resources from the home planet. It is Sonic drinks and shakes, and is that French toast stick?
It's pretzel.
That's a pretzel. Oh, okay. Those
It's a
pretzels
pretzel.
are good.
Okay.
That's
I
good.
believe this is your
This
chair.
is
yeah, there we go.
top-notch podcasting.
Yes.
Yes. Well, it's a little slice of life. They get to know what we're doing.
Nobody gives a shit about this part.
I do. God damn it. I like to know what we're all up to.
That is me with Lethal Company. Oh, and played a board game today.
Yes. More on that later.
Yes.
More on that later. Brady, hit us up with things that apparently people don't care about.
Yeah. Well, probably not, to be honest. I'm not going to be a big head about it. So this past Sunday, the finale for True Detective Night Country came out. I think it was pretty good. It wrapped up everything pretty well, cleared up most of the things, but it left there was a little bit of ambiguity right there at the end that that gave you a little bit to think. I thought it was very good. I thought this was a very good season. I think this is the most complete season to me. I think, but it's probably the second best season versus the first. The first one, just that last episode's a little dodgy. It's not perfect, but it's still really, really good. I know the original writer Nick Palazzo. He is not having a good one on social media. He's just like liking and commenting on like every negative review of the season, and I'm like, we must have watched a different season, because you people are crazy, because I think that this was pretty damn good. So yeah, and I don't like that it was only 6 episodes. I wish it would have been a little bit longer. All the other ones have been like 8 episodes. Thank you, Game of Thrones, for making that okay. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, True Detective Night Country, really, really good. Jodie Foster's great in it. I cannot remember the other actress who's the main one of the main characters, but she was great. Everybody was really cool. The setting in Alaska, this town where they get basically 30 days of night. It's really interesting. All the stuff that was happening in there was pretty interesting.
Was it Nome?
No,
Nome,
it wasn't
Alaska?
Nome. It was like a made up town, I think,
Oh, okay.
or it was a town that nobody's heard of.
Okay.
Started with like a G or something like that. But it was pretty good. So yeah, if you liked, I always say like so True Detective this season kind of tied some stuff to the first season, but you wouldn't know that unless it was brought up, unless you paid like really close attention. So and each of the seasons are set apart. even though like there are some ties in this one to the first season. So you could watch the first season, you could watch Night Country. I say skip the second season. The second season is just not good. It has some good parts, but overall it is not good. The third season is pretty good. It's not as, I don't think it's as good as these other two. Mahershala Ali really carries that season.
What season is this last one? How was it? Season 4?
It was season 4. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, True Detective. If you like True Detective and you haven't watched this season yet, definitely check it out. If you haven't, I would say, watch the first season, watch this season, watch the third season, skip the second one altogether, because all you're going to get is frustrated. So there's that. And another thing that I did was I went on Hulu and I got a free trial for Paramount Plus Showtime, because there was a few things on there that I wanted to watch. And one of those things was the second season of Yellow Jackets.
Hell yeah!
I was able to finish that up in the week.
Why does that sound familiar?
That's because I talked about it
a while back,
a few months ago.
Yeah, Yellow Jackets is a show about it's split between the past and the future, where this in the 90s this girls soccer team from New Jersey, they crash. They're on the way back from their way to
two nationals.
Yeah, and their plane crashes in the wilderness, and they have to survive in the wilderness,
in the Canadian wilderness.
Yeah, it's rough. Like,
yeah.
And after this season, it's going to get a whole lot rougher. But you see stuff that happens in the past, and then it goes to stuff that happens in the future, because it's kind of the inciting incident in like the first season is like some of them start getting blackmailed with like, hey, I know what happened. I found out what happened, because because they came back, they were like, we are not talking about this shit,
right?
Because they do some fucked up shit out there in the woods,
because they're out there for a while.
Yeah,
we don't know yet how long, but
I think they said it was at least like a year.
I think it was 18 months.
Yeah, it was like 18 months.
I think it's 18 months.
I think it was 18 months, and this is through the Canadian winter.
Right.
So it gets rough, and all of this season, the stuff that happens is in the past is during the winter.
Right.
So it's them having to survive. You're basically watching them slowly starve to death.
Right.
In this season, but like both the past and the present actors
phenomenal,
are like really, really good. You got Juliette Lewis, Melanie Linsky,
Christina
Ricci, and I cannot remember. Is that No, she's not in. That's not the same chick that's in Firefly. That's a different chick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and all of the younger actresses are actors and actresses
phenomenal,
are great.
Yeah.
They like perfectly match with looks and with like mannerisms. They match each other. Like you can see, like you can watch them and you're like, oh, this person definitely, the person who's the younger Christina Ricci, she definitely grows up to be Christina Ricci. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
And I think each like pair of actors that played the same character had coaching to how to portray the character.
Because normally, and I'm certain that they had to have spent time together with each other.
That I think is more important. That right there, like being with that,
even though
person.
they're never together. In like, there's some scenes in this last season where they are together. But yeah, it's two really, really good seasons. It's a really good watch. There's like mystery. All the acting is phenomenal.
There's mystery in both time periods.
Yeah, in both time periods, like you're trying to figure shit out. But it's really, really, really good. It's one of the best shows that I've watched.
It's a really good show.
Unfortunately, the second season doesn't come out until 2025.
Oh, you mean season 3?
Yes, the next season. Yeah. So that sucks.
That does suck.
Well, it's cool. You can finish your trial, and then like in 2 years you can get a new free trial.
Yeah, probably.
So thank you, Yellow Jackets.
Yeah. So and the next thing that I watched was one of the main reasons that I got that Yellow Jackets, and then this was one of the main reasons that I got the free trial. Was to watch again. Like I said, I've been trying to watch all of the Best Picture nominees. I was able to watch one more with Past Lives. It was pretty good. It's basically romantic drama. It's this it takes place in three periods of time in this girl's life where she they live in South Korea, and she kind of has this like when they're 12, she has this like kind of relationship, not even really a relationship, but like she has this boy that she likes, and they kind of hang out together and they go on a little quote unquote date. But like right after that, she immigrates to Canada, I believe. And then it takes place, and then there's 12 years after that, they reconnect, but he's in South Korea, she's in New York, and they reconnect through the internet. They just have like internet calls and stuff like that. And then you fast forward 12 more years where he comes to visit her in New York. He's on vacation and she's married. So it's a very interesting way of doing it. It's not really like your normal romantic comedy. Like I think it's not even a spoiler to say like they don't really get together, but it is like talking about it, and they do a good thing because like the guy that she's married with, he's a cool guy. Like he's not an asshole. Like it's not like a romantic comedy or something like that where you go like, oh, he's an asshole, they should break up and he get with this other person. But it's a lot about like, you know, those kind of misconnections and what ifs and things like that. It's a pretty good movie. It's not like the best movie ever. I don't think it should win the best picture, but it is cool that it was nominated. But yeah, all the actors and actresses are really good. The lead woman, she's really great. But yeah, and it's looking like so this weekend I'm gonna try and rent Anatomy of a Fall and The Holdovers, because those are both for rent on Amazon Prime.
I think The Holdovers is on Peacock.
Yeah, I don't have Peacock though.
Oh, got it.
And I don't particularly want to borrow anybody's because I don't know how Peacock is doing. They're trying to keep people from sharing, and I don't want people's accounts to be locked because of me. But just because I wanted to watch a fucking Paul Giamatti movie. But yeah, I'm probably gonna. I should be watching those, and then the only two that I will have left is Maestro, which is on Netflix, which I may or may not get around to watching. I don't know. I just think this is the most Oscar baity movie, so I'm not super excited to watch that. And the other one that I really want to watch, but I probably won't get to watch, is Zone of Interest, because it's in theaters right now. You can buy it on Amazon Prime, but it's $20, and it's like I'm not buying a digital. I will pay $20 for a movie. A Blu-ray of a movie that I really like, but I'm not buying a digital version of it. And it's not in theaters anywhere around here. I'm hoping that it comes into theaters before the Oscars, because I really want to watch it because it's very, very interesting.
I made the mistake of doing that with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse the weekend before it hit Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because there's like so much time was in between when it was cut from theaters, and I'm tired of the wait. I just want to watch it.
Yeah.
And then literally the announcement like, hey, this is coming to Netflix. I'm like, fuck.
You can actually you Google what's coming up on Netflix for the next couple of months. You can find out if you're thinking about renting anything digitally. Also, we talked about this before, but as far as like buying digital movies, the streaming site, buying digital movie streaming site Vudu, I can't remember what movie it was, but lost the rights to have a couple of movies on that site, and so if you owned it, quote unquote, you had like 2 days to watch it, and then that was it, and it's gone, and you don't get to watch it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if you bought it.
If you bought it.
Yeah, that's for that reason. Like, I really want, like, this is the one, like, Zone of Interest is the movie that I most want to watch out of all of these, and it's the one that is the hardest to watch.
Right.
Because I'm not paying $20 for it. I'm sorry. And it's not in theaters anywhere. I don't know if it's gonna be in the theaters anywhere. I'm hoping that one of these theaters around here gets it. It's in like Mobile. You can watch it in Mobile. I'm not driving to Mobile though.
Right.
I might end up doing that, but it's no. But,
I'm not doing this.
No.
I'm not doing. I might do it
because once a month, I have to go to Mobile anyway for a meeting for work. So I might do that. But I think it's only like one showing, and if it's like if I get out of my meeting at like 4 o'clock, and the meeting is not until 2, I'm not dicking around in Mobile for 2 hours before and then going to watch a movie. I'm just hoping that it goes out for rent before everything, and
Right.
Then it'll just be the Maestro. It'll just be Maestro, and I really don't know if I want to put forth that much effort to watch that movie.
Right.
But yeah, and the last thing that I watched was a movie from one of the kind of up and coming directors of the past probably decade is one Ari Aster.
Mm-hmm.
He directed Hereditary,
Yep.
like blew up. Then he directed Midsommar,
Love both those.
which I like Hereditary a lot, but like Midsommar is like one of my favorite of like horror movies in
It's
the last
really
little bit.
good.
It's like I absolutely love it.
Something about Nordic horror lately. I'm just saying.
Daylight horror at that.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting take on things. I
Mm-hmm.
really, really like it. And he had another movie come out last year called Beau is Afraid. This
Joaquin Phoenix.
It is. I don't know how many times I was watching this movie and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
He also directed Dream Scenario with Nick Cage.
Did he direct that?
That's what I'm seeing.
Huh. Okay. I need to watch that one too. I'm
Oh.
excited.
Not directed. He was involved in it.
Okay.
okay.
My
Okay.
apologies.
Somebody else that I know directed that one. I can't remember
It
who.
was Christopher Borgley.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
But continue with Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what this is.
So Beau is Afraid. Man, how do you even? I do like it's so hard to explain. Like, fuck. It is such a weird. It's one of the weirdest movies that I've watched in like the last. Probably in the last 20 years. Like, it is super weird.
I'm heavily interested.
Yeah. But he plays Beau, the titular Beau, and he lives in this super weird world. And there are some things that I found out that make a little bit more sense, but it's still like so fucking weird. And it's like I think Ari Aster described it as Jewish Wizard of Oz, but except Beau is just trying to go back to his mom's house. He's like constantly perplexed and like all this weird shit is constantly happening. Like he lives in this world where just the weirdest shit is just going on. Like he's walking down the street and people are just fighting and killing each other, and then there's just like a dead person in the middle of the street, and like a car just runs over them, and like he has to run into his apartment building because this guy with weird tattoos all over them starts chasing him as soon as he sees him, and runs and tries to get into the, like he's super paranoid, and I don't know how much of this is like in his mind. It's so hard because just so many weird things. So he's trying to get some sleep, and as he's trying to get some sleep in this like really shitty apartment building, like really, 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 like think of the worst apartment building. Think of like shit from like The Wire, and it's like it's worse than that. And he sees like somebody walk to his door and slide a note underneath his door, and he goes and he picks it up and is like, could you please turn your music down? It's really loud. He's not playing any music. He's not doing anything, but it is quiet. All of his lights are off. He is sitting there trying to go to sleep. And he goes, well, I'm not, my music. So he just keeps going. He gets another note. Seriously, man, you've got to turn it down. Like, it is so loud. People are trying to sleep. Please. He was like, what am I doing? What can I do? And the guy, then later on, he slides another note gets slide. Seriously, you turn it up? Like, and he's like, what? And then you hear just this music, this like wall shaking music from the other side. He was like, well, what the fuck? Like, and then he tries to go to sleep. Like, it is such God is like, and that's just like one of the weird things that happens in this movie. Like it is so fucking weird. And Joaquin Phoenix just plays the most like he's constantly going, what is going on? I don't know what the fuck is going on. And I'm like, what is going on? I don't know what the fuck is going on. It is so Jesus Christ. I don't know. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it's just a weird. If you like a weird fucking movie and you don't mind one that's super fucking long, because this is a very long movie, it doesn't really feel like it because you spend the whole time going what, and then something else happens. You go what?
Right.
So like it's all these new weird things are constantly happening, and you can't keep it gripped. So like it doesn't feel as long as it actually is. It's like 3 hours, but it doesn't really feel like that because you're so perplexed the whole entire time. But yeah, he goes on like a road trip type thing where he like I don't know, it's so fucking weird. But yeah, if that sounds like something, I still like Midsommar as his best movie,
right.
but like this is just a super weird movie.
Gotcha.
If you like super weird shit, check it out.
I've seen some pretty wild movies.
Yeah.
So definitely down.
So that's what I've been doing.
I believe it is your turn, Jay.
Yeah. Follow
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll follow it with 4 things in various speeds and times. So the first thing is welcome to Taste Test on the Omnibus. I found out that Coca-Cola is doing a raspberry spiced Coca-Cola, and I will try it now for the first time. Here we go. This is the popping of the cap.
Hopefully it'll taste like.
Oh, that's raspberry. This cap isn't even off, and I can. Okay. Get just once around. Just sniffs. Just sniff. Just sniff. Yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least it's not cosmic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's raspberry. Okay.
It's very raspberry.
You don't. That didn't even go near your nose, and you caught that.
Yeah,
All right.
no.
All right, gentlemen. I've loved you all. Bianca, I love you too. Why not?
On a scale of 1 to raspberry.
Oh, it's raspberry. Like, I mean, that is the one undeniable thing. Like, I taste Coke syrup in this, but it is raspberry. It is. If you like raspberry, you have a good chance at liking this. If you don't like raspberry, stay far the fuck away. I am totally fine. I will finish this 20 ounce by myself. So that is part the first. Part the second, and this will bring Jody in for a little bit. I've caught 2 new YouTubers that I've been enjoying this past week. One is Dungeon Chill. Dungeon Chill is a video game reviewer reviewing older style kind of horror games. Has a really nice style. Reminds me very much of Grimbeard, but very more relaxed. If you know Grimbeard, the YouTuber, he also does a lot of horror content as far as horror video games, though. But it's a bit more. It's aggressively laid back, I guess is the best way to put it. Dungeon Chill is very nice. It's a very good thing to like. You can watch it for the entertainment value. You can watch it for the informative value, and you can watch it because the dude's voice is nice and calm, puts you right to sleep. It's very good stuff. So as a sedative measure is good as well. The second one, I did not realize that Jody had listened before, but Majular, spelled, I believe, Majular, is also a kind of a retro video gamer, but of more like around the PlayStation 2 era and all those games that would come out in that area. He's got a really good video on Kingsfield. He has a really good video on Skies of Arcadia, which I think,
okay.
The one I watched was the last one I watched was the Ultima 2 retrospective.
Ultima 2 retrospective, because he did the 3. I think his latest video is the Ultima 3 Exodus retrospective, which is also out there, and that's when Origin Systems came together, and Origin was pretty much, if you liked if you liked PC gaming in the 80s and 90s, Wing Commander and Ultima both come out of Origin Systems, and so it was great. And he goes into really good detail about that. Darkseed is another one, because he did Darkseeds 1 and 2 is another one good there. I really like Majular. Majular is he's I don't want to say aggressive. He's a more assertive in his videos. So the whole get to fall asleep to his voice thing, it's not going to happen the way you can do with Dungeon Chill.
I've seen his videos pop up in my feed. I just haven't watched them.
Yeah, highly,
because they are very long, and
they're usually between 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah, they're informative. They're packed with good information,
entertaining as well.
I've enjoyed them. And what I like about, like, there are parts where you can just stop, go about your day, and then come back to it, and you're ready to come back to it. So I highly recommend it. Again, Dungeon Chill and Majular, 2 really good YouTubers that I'm gonna keep an eye on throughout the rest of the year. Next up, board games, because I love board games. I'd recently got my fulfillment copy of. Excuse me. I'll
There's
cut
the
that.
raspberry.
Oh yeah, it was the raspberry. It's violently fighting me right now. It's a terrible fight. But we've got Cyberpunk 2077, Gangs of Night City. Kind of to me, it feels like a hybrid between the Godfather board game that Simon put out and Rising Sun because of action economy and how things work there. I really, I've only run it. I haven't played it yet, but we played our first game of it tonight. Ethan sat in there along with friend Bianca was also in there.
Bianca was also in it,
and then also friends of the show now, Seth Rabideau and Logan Peterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being at the game. But Ethan, you sat down and played. What was it like in the forest?
The way I play board games is very weird. I don't know what I'm doing in the first half of it, and then once I'm like 30 minutes to an hour in, I'm like, oh, the gears have finally clicked into place. I realize I'm not winning this game.
That is me.
It's
every time I play a new board game.
And so it's a combination of like men on board, placing certain specific units in different areas on the board.
Area control.
And so you're having to balance out, okay, I need so many units in this district in order to gain the full rewards of the district, as opposed to just being in there and getting and handpicking what I want. And it's also having to gather contraband in order to fulfill
opportunities,
trying to get money to recruit edge runners, and also net running to further to just better yourself and disrupt your opponents, and also upgrading your combat cards so that way, hey, I'm not having my starter cards and everyone else is just so far ahead in combat.
One of my favorite moments from this one. So during net running, there's a chain that you go down, and you have to go down at least one step because you have to have a net runner in order to be able to do it. And every net runner that you have, you get to choose how many steps you go down. You have to go at least one, but if you have 4 net runners between the 3 starting and any edge runners that are also net runners, you can go down that chart really quick. And each step on the chart, whichever one you land on or you choose to land on, that's the power that you initiate. The second power, which if you get 2 net runners on the board and then you do your net run, it's pretty potent because you get to basically choose one of your opponents, and they have to discard a combat card at random.
Yes.
The combat cards don't come back until you've spent them all, and you get them back. So if they're honestly, the safest person on that is the person who's down to 1 card left, because then if he has to discard that, he gets all his cards back. But Logan had just used his entire turn to get 2 new combat cards, each separate action, and then comes over to Ethan's turn and says, you have to discard 1 at random. He shuffles them up, and he discards a card that has 6 combat. To put this into perspective, your best starting card as far as fight value is 3. And
the value went side to side on the entire card.
Yeah, it's all the way across the card. It's double the most effective card you start out with. Now, it has some downsides. You have to lose a character that you had in the fight. So
but it's basically an auto win if you play it.
Yeah.
At the sacrifice of, hey, I lose 1 dude.
It's amazing. And depending on the module, like Trauma Team, if the Trauma Team module's in play and the Trauma Team is in the district, you can give them $1 and you don't lose anybody in a fight. Or you don't lose $1 for each person you might lose in the fight.
Right.
Yeah. Craziness. Absolute craziness. I enjoyed looking at that. It seemed like it was a lot of fun. There wasn't a lot of downtime because even with 4 players, like you get either 1 or 2 actions, or you do your reclaim, which is basically a clean up and restart. Clean up, reset, restart, and redeploy. And then you're just on to the next person. So there's not a lot of lag time. Or you're not allowed a lot of lag time, so that game moves pretty well. That was a 4-player, max is 5-player, and
it took about an hour to explain the rules, and then during actual gameplay,
that's a Simon/Eric Lang.
That is 100%
traditional
actual track.
Like actual gameplay was 45 minutes to an hour, almost.
It was at least an hour, yeah, because I think when we got y'all started off, it was like 7:50, and you were done around 9:15, and that was the tutorial. Normally, the game goes to 25 points, or the story, quote unquote, that you're playing the game throughout with, which if you feed the story, you get bonuses for that, but then it also advances the story. And if the story epilogue hits, the game ends there. If nobody's at 25, the minute somebody hits 25, that automatically causes endgame. And there might be some situations where somebody gets more points and they may actually go ahead of that person. My favorite thing about this game is the first I've seen in a while. If at the end of the game, the people at the top are tied, the win goes to no one. If you are tied to win, everyone loses.
Oh, nice.
I like that.
That's
I
interesting.
actually like that because it's like it gives you impetus to fight with your very last breath to the very end. Of
course.
Don't slack up. Keep getting points because if even if they just meet you, you lose. I kind of dig that. Can't wait to run it again tomorrow night. It's going to be fun times. Here is hoping. Finally, Age of Sigmar, my weekly little bit. Couple big things. One, me and did you get your copy or you wait until tomorrow?
It might not be tomorrow.
Might not be tomorrow.
It might
But,
be later.
okay. But book 4 of Dawnbringers dropped for Age of Sigmar. It is The Mad King Rises. It centers around the newest, in my opinion, one of the most refreshing characters that the Games Workshop has put out is Usharan, the Mad King, the Mortarch of Delusion. And it's amazing. I don't want to spoil it because I've already gotten a little bit of spoilers of this, so I'm really excited to see what's going on in this book. Just from knowing what goes on in the book, I just want to see how they wrote it up. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Flesh Eater Courts as a viable and/or army that they are pushing. So I'm
The
I'm
Flesh
happy
Eater Courts
throughout all
have really interesting of death. The death factions, they are the most interesting because they are, for the most part, most of them are just disgusting ghouls. But they all have a shared delusion, which comes from Ushran, of they are these crusading knights, and they are all great and noble.
They are the nobility.
Yeah, the higher ups are like these ghoulish vampires.
They ride to battle on majestic griffins, not zombie dragons. How dare you? What would make you think that?
Yeah. They're loyal hounds that they hunt with. No, those are really just a whole bunch of bats, giant bats.
Yeah.
They come and we have gone out and done these noble deeds, and we have come back to this sumptuous feast with all of these great
feasts,
and it's just nasty
food.
Entrails all over the place.
Yeah.
They're some of the most interesting lore of, I think, anything in Age of Sigmar and 40K. They are super fun. And Usharan is such a cool, his model's cool, his whole story is cool. It's great. So I'm so glad that they've done more with Flesh Eater Courts, because they had a first edition book. They had the oldest book for this whole entire time, and they were the last people to get an update. So yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's glad it looks like, and they're doing interesting things with them.
I think I still have Holder's copy that you let me read up on. So I still have that.
You also have that Start Collecting box.
I also have the Start Collecting box.
Yeah, and they've updated, all of those models are updated now. But yeah, because of the lore and the way they play, it's interesting now. I was thinking about actually getting into them, but I don't want a horde army, so I can't. So I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I love that the Flesh Eater Courts are now getting the spotlight, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Other big thing for Age of Sigmar is the Warscroll finally dropped this last week, but since we've last recorded, it dropped. And overall, what did you think about it?
I'm fine with it. It didn't really hurt too much of my stuff. Some of the lists that they were going around with, those Ossiarch Bone Reapers aren't viable anymore, because Immortus Guard and Morghast Archive went up 10 points apiece. I think some of it was they just looked at the top 8 for LVO and was like, hey, we're gonna fuck with all of these things that were really popular.
Well, specifically Cities of Sigmar,
Cities of Sigmar got the hammer,
and Caradron got
Caradron Overlords got the hammer. But most of my stuff, a lot of the battle line that are on 32-inch bases got 2-inch weapons, so that's actually really good because now they can fight in 2 ranks. I actually put together a list, a Zinch list that had Zangors in it, so because now they can fight in 2 ranks, so that's pretty cool.
That really, if we're gonna want to go back to Horde armies, the Horde armies that have that base size, that's gonna really
Nighthawk. It's like
yeah.
really, they're like it's great for them because their problem was that they couldn't fight in 2 ranks, so you couldn't have you half your models weren't going to be able to attack. So, and you were kind of meant to be this kind of not really a horde, but like a wave past, like crashing into people and doing a whole lot of damage. You couldn't do that before, and now you can. So
yeah. Like just give an example of just how effective that can make. Namarti Thralls are the standard baseline unit for the INF Deepkin. There are 32-inch bases and they only had an inch range, which means that these bigger bases are too spread apart to be able to get everybody in, particularly with the newer I was about to say collusion rules. Cohesion rules. You can't get them to all face, and because then there wouldn't be, and they'd be an inch further away from 2. They need to be within an inch of 2 other models in the unit. So you can't hit as a line.
Yeah.
So you have to do
this weird like honeycombing seesaw thing.
Yeah.
To get them in
cohesion. So, and even then in second ed, like they only had an inch range. Now
coherence.
In the current this happened with their new book that came out years back. They then went to 2-inch range, and then that made that a much more viable unit because you could use the full unit. And
before nobody talked about those.
Yeah, it was eels that all the time, and then like it was sharks, and then sharks. I don't know if that's a nerf or a side grade, because what sharks used, specifically bloodthirsty shivers in Futhon, which if you were going to take sharks, you're gonna take them in that, because they used to, if they rolled on a 6 to hit, it would explode, which means they would get 2 hits out of it. Now instead of exploding hits, you get auto wound. Like it goes straight to the damage phase on that. And I don't necessarily know if that isn't just a side grade, or if it's. I would like to play it more. I've got my Adneth, and I could put some together.
Oh, yeah.
I need to put them together for the soon to be face off between.
Yeah, one of the sub factions for Bone Reapers did get. I get it is a nerf. Null Myriad, which used to be units wholly within 9 inches of a Mortisan or Archon. If they were targeted by a spell on a 2-up, the spell was ignored, which is super powerful, and especially with like magic being really big and stuff like Seraphon. Seraphon is like the big one because a lot of their spells do target people and do like mortal wounds and stuff like that. But now it's a 4-up, but you don't have to be within 9 inches. It's just everything. So it's better than what it used to be in the old book, which was just a 5-up, but it's worse than what it was. But you don't have to keep them in the bubbles, so that's a little bit better. But I don't think it's that big. I don't think it's going to make that big of a deal, because you see a lot of lists that like get in like top 4 or top 8 in these tournaments. They're not necessarily running Null Myriad anymore. Like before, everybody was running Null Myriad because of the prevalence of magic.
Yeah, because this season is about magic and magic casters.
But now less people are running it because I don't know. It's just they're running these other 1 or 2 other sub factions. So I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference maker. And really and truly, like you're seeing like one or 2 people bring OBR, so it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, overall, I'm not.
I wonder if you won't see more Null Myriad lists because you don't have to have those bubbles. They just get that work.
I don't know, because the bubbles were not super hard to maintain, and a 2-up spell ignore is like super powerful. But yeah, I don't. It's really weird.
5 out of every 6 spells don't happen for them.
It's weird because like Null Myriad also wasn't like running roughshod over everything. But I don't know.
I do like a drawback to one of my armies, Blades of Corn. Which I think is perfectly thematic. Even if they have somehow magic casters on their side, spells fail on a 5+
Yeah.
against them, which I like.
Well, there was a regiment of renown that could take that Zinch.
That Zinch regiment of
of
well,
renown.
and also Bellicor.
Yeah.
Bellicor. There were some Bellicor lists that were Khorne lists that were also doing the same thing.
So they don't want you running spellcasters at all in Khorne.
Hates magic.
Yeah.
He hates magic, and so even allies is like, look, thank you for helping,
Right.
but no.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's why it was funny because like he super hates Zinch. So like
Yeah.
running a Zinch regiment of renown is funny.
There's something that I remembered while we were in the middle of like talking about your board game.
Bonus. Okay, go for it.
Right. That I want to piggyback off of when you were talking about your board game, but we went right into your next
go
topic.
for it. Fire away.
3 out of 4 of us played a really awesome game last Thursday,
Oh yeah, shit.
and I want to talk just a minute about that.
Oh yeah, so I brought a game called Ready Set Bet.
Ah, yes. I unfortunately missed that.
Yeah, big unfortunately because it was super fun. It's basically you're just betting on a horse race, like a number of horse races. Like there's not really much else to it. Somebody is there rolling a die and with these horses, and when that number rolls, you move the horse 1 space. If you roll that number again, you move the horse bonus spaces, or in the case of a 7, you don't move them at all because they actually move forward and then back. So, and
that might not sound exciting, but this shit is in real time.
but it's all in real time because there's this big board with all of these bets. You've got like win, place, and show. So, and you've got multipliers, and you've got these betting chips which have numbers on them, and you're gonna put them down. And once you put that down, you cannot move it, and nobody can place anything on top of it. So you're racing to try and get these. But if you win that bet, you get whatever the number is times whatever the multiplier is. So if it says times 2 and you put a 5 down there, you get $10.
So what I'm hearing, you guys just bet on horses. That's it.
Basically, yes. Basically, there's some different bets up top where it's like, hey, if this horse beats this horse, if they get farther than this horse, then you get that bet. There's some exotic bets which are like really weird stuff because it's like, okay, 5 or more horses didn't move more than 3 spaces. You win that bet.
or if all the horses move 6 spaces, at least.
So you've got that.
Sign me up.
Yeah, it's all happening in real time. So
It
like
was chaotic.
Yeah, it's super chaotic because you're trying to make the best guess that you possibly can, but you're also, and then there's like once 3 horses go past the no bet line, you can't put any more bets down. So
Right.
you can't wait too long because like then you can't bet, but then also somebody else might take the thing that you're going for that you're like, okay, I'm going to wait, because there's also a negative. Some of the spaces, most of the spaces have a negative to where if you don't win that
You
bet,
lose money.
then you lose money. Like you'll lose -3 or
Right.
-$5. So it's super hectic, and then you play 4 races, and it's
My favorite, but one of my favorite runs was like it was like one of the horses, like the 8 horse. It was like almost up to the no bet line, and then number 5 came from behind.
Yeah.
like 5 moves in a row.
We had one where the 11 and 12 horse won. It's very hard to roll 11 and 12s on a horse.
Jesus.
But when you roll doubles on that, they jump forward 3 spaces. So like
So the 12 was just moving in increments of 3 then.
they were it just somehow happened to roll it a lot, and it was super cool. Like I think that was the one where like we didn't even get to where three horses passed the no bet line.
Right. There was one where like there was one horse that made it.
It was that one horse, and then I think that one wasn't it. But
No,
it was
one horse crossed the line. One was about to hit the bet line, and then the 3rd place horse was literally like just 3 out of the gate.
And then we
Yeah.
had a 3-way tie for 3rd or one
And
of
so
those.
they all
Yeah.
showed.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. It plays super super quick. It's a stand up game where you're not really wanting to sit
You're
down.
not wanting to sit down at all.
Bring that to CoastCon.
I bought that to bring that to CoastCon.
There you go.
Because I have heard so much about
I have to get a ticket.
What's
to
the
CoastCon
other?
now.
You have another horse betting. Long shot.
Long Shot, the
Long-
dice
yeah.
game. That
Yeah.
one's also really fun. That one's it's more contemplative, even though it is still kind of like, oh my god, this is like it is kind of tense, but this one is like tense in a different way. Like 'cause
Yeah.
it's like a real time game that I actually like enjoy playing.
Right.
If
Because even rolling the die and moving the horses is like super I
Exciting.
did that twice, I believe.
Yeah.
And like that was like super exciting.
Mhm.
in a similar vein, if you can find it, because it's been out of print forever, but there's a game called Panic on Wall Street, and the way the game plays is everybody's a better on Wall Street, kind of true, but everyone's a broker on Wall Street, and
Yeah.
you have a certain amount of money, and you have a minute in real time to place play again, and to basically buy stock, and then at the end of that minute, a set of dice is rolled, and they're all different colors for the different colored companies, and you determine whether or not you made money or you lost your ass. And it's intense. It's that same level of intensity. It's not as protracted because, again, until you hit that three horse, and you never are really sure when that you can kind of get sure, but
Right.
even then that can kind of float because that horse you need to cross it finally doesn't, and the whole rear of the pack ends up rolling out. That I think was is pretty. It almost captures it. It's not like in a horse race, like the horse that's 12 lengths back all of a sudden almost wins.
Right.
You have to kind of a little extrapolate out there, but
Yeah.
that intensity and that tenseness, I think was
Right.
really good about that game.
Yeah, because even when we got past the no bet line, then you're like, oh, come on. I got all my money on 5.
You're invested.
Come on.
You're
Like,
purposely invested. It's great.
and then like, that time when 11, we were like, oh, yeah. We were like standing up.
Everybody
and
was like
Yeah.
cheering.
Yeah.
Yes,
it was great.
It was
super
fun.
great.
It was a fun game.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, I bought that literally because I'd heard so much. Like I think the Dice Tower just did their top 100, and like that moved up to Tom Vassal's like #1 game.
Holy hell!
And it's because of this. You can do it at these conventions where you get all of these people because it plays up to 9 people.
Right.
Small box, huge player count.
Yeah, and you can have somebody running it, or there's an app that you can just have them run the stuff. I want to try it with that to see like if there's any difference, or it runs smoother or anything like that. But it's I had fun with just the rolling the dice because I thought rolling the dice would be kind of boring, but no, it's actually like pretty intense on my end too, and I'm not even betting.
Another little fun side to it was like Brady and both Jay ran it, and like Brady, he's like number 5's at the lead, and he's like just doing the call and the shots,
Yeah.
and 8's trailing behind 7.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I like with mine. So there, you can also get special bonuses after VIP bonuses after the first race, and one of them is if they roll boxcars or snake eyes, you could just get $1. You just get $1. Now those horses are connected to the 2. It's the 2, 3, and the 11, 12 horse. So if you roll 11 or you roll a 3. You don't get the money, but if it's boxcars, so it's like I had like Brady point out, like whenever you roll these, you have to go boxcars or snake eyes, and then our friend Logan Peterson, he cleaned up like $5
Yeah.
in one fucking run with that thing, just because it was snake cars and box eyes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that for the
There
new
you go.
names for
Snake
him right
cars
now.
and box eyes.
Snake cars and box eyes. There we go. But yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Super fun game.
No feedback this week, gentlemen. However, passengers, thank you for joining us on the bus this week. If you would like to leave feedback, travelers on the omnibus at gmail.com. Again, that is travelers, 1L on the omnibus at gmail.com. Jody, where can they get in touch with us elsewhere?
Spotify.
Take part in any of our polls and questions of the week. If you are like listening to us and you want to share that with some friends, family, or enemies, if you want to share it with your enemies, you can do that too. If you're a magnanimous enemy, that'd be good as well. We are available on Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon, what we call Saga. Ladies and
Shouldn't
gentlemen,
be Saya.
yeah. Or Sama, because YouTube music. Sama, say me. That's the Lionel Richie song. Time for the main event. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, it's chalkboard season again, and the plane has crashed, and it's just is it just the 4 of us, or well, we'll set the parameters here in a second because it's chalkboard time, folks. This is our top 5 board games if you're on a desert island or deserted island, but not a desert island. That'd be bad.
I think the best thing is just to go through because we kind of talked about some stuff, but we didn't like go into super great detail. So just what our criteria was for each of us as we go through. I think that's probably
cool
the best
beans,
way
cool beans.
to do that.
So yeah, there we go. One thing that is universal for us, when we mention a board game, it's the board game and all available expansions for it as it stands in this day on February 2024, Anno Domini or CE if you prefer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Does anyone want to go first?
I'll go first.
All right. Jody, you are on the clock.
All right. So this was actually really difficult for me. I went through a lot of games, and one of the criterias for me was not just like, can you play these 5 games for eternity?
Yeah.
But if you played these games with whatever the maximum player count is, would you be able to have enough variations and variables in the game to where the game couldn't necessarily be 100% gamed?
Yeah.
Which is one of the, skill levels aside, once you get to a certain point, would you plateau? Of course, I'm sure everybody would at some point get to a certain point where they, could only get so good. So I have a runner-up for every one of these. So my first game, it's number 5.
Okay.
Number 5 is Crokinole.
Okay.
That's my dexterity game.
Mm-hmm.
So Crokinole, if you're unfamiliar with it, is a dexterity game that was created in the late 1800s or something like that, and it's just a big, giant board, a circular board with a bunch of both players have like their own discs, and you're trying to get your disc in the Crokinole hole. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And you're trying to push
the croca hole, if you will.
The croca hole, if you will. The game that was a runner-up to number 5, it's not a dexterity game, was Ticket to Ride. Mm-hmm. My number 4 is Gaia Project.
Okay.
Which is a very heavy Euro game. And it's a reskin of Terra Mystica, but I prefer the streamlined rules of Gaia Project. Gaia Project is pretty much just like a potluck of every mechanic that's in the European and German board games. You have everything in there. Number 3 is my hidden movement game.
Okay.
Which is Letters from Whitechapel. Mm-hmm. The runner-up was Escape from the Aliens from Outer Space, which
I've heard about that game. Never played it.
It's super fun. It's hidden movement for a different aspect of hidden movement. Number 2, I had to put some sort of deck builder in there. Mm-hmm. The runner-up was DC Metal Batman, but the actual game is Dune Imperium, which is a hybrid deck builder / board game. Mm-hmm. And my number 1 board game for a desert island situation is Roll for the Galaxy.
Because I had a feeling this was going to be on your list.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite games. And also, it's a dice-based game. There's a lot of choices that are made that are also could be considered variables to where the game wouldn't be the same every time you played it. And the runner-up for that... I'm sorry. The runner-up for that would be Alien Frontiers as well. So that's my 5 right there.
In this second half, if you find us coughing or choking or sound a little hoarse, is because we laughed our ever-loving asses off about what we cannot tell you. It is a closely guarded secret.
If you give us $10,000 on Subscribestar, we will divulge the secrets.
Yeah, email us your credit card numbers, including
your
the
parents' credit card,
including the one on the back, and we'll tell you. We're
gonna need
kids. Go to your parents' wallets and find all of the pictures with presidents on them and send it to us.
Need 5 plane tickets to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I hear New Orleans is a great place to wait for an airplane.
Yeah, they have an airport.
They do have it.
Louis Armstrong International Airport. Ethan,
Okay.
fire away.
Okay, so when I imagine the island that we're stranded on, I'm thinking it is like.
I think. Well, hold on. I know what you're going to do first.
Okay. I've discovered the power of the breeding pen.
Okay, we're moving on.
Okay.
I had to do one with you in person.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
I am imagining this is the island that Tom Hanks is stranded on in Castaway. Okay, we have vegetation, we have lumber all over the place. We're able to make things and survive at least. And so I picked my board games around what can I learn from these games for my own survival.
Okay.
You went hard.
Okay.
Yeah, you thought about this way more than I did.
I enjoy these games, but also there's some kind of survival element.
Oh,
to it,
damn.
okay?
Jesus.
Edutainment.
I will
wow.
survive. We will survive.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no. That's a slip. I knew. Everyone stay on watch.
So, my number 5 is going to be Forbidden Island.
Okay.
In the eventuality that the island just starts to sink, I know what I'm doing.
Get into that helicopter.
Now, Forbidden
Yeah.
Island, it's
You know, we all have to get to the helicopter in Forbidden Island.
that's why we all play it. We all know
Okay.
how to survive in the eventuality that the island just sinks out of nowhere.
Okay.
Portions of the island just starts disappearing. We have to know how to navigate the jungles. We
Yeah.
have to avoid the quicksand. We have to get out of here alive.
Yeah, I have the cup thing, so you have to. I can't be left behind.
Exactly. That's why we all have to work together on this.
Okay.
Number 4, what I have is in the eventualities that deep sea creatures are sentient enough to come up and offer us aid. I see the look and disappointment in you. I've chosen Abyss for number 4. Deep sea politics. You have to convince different deep sea factions to lend you aid, and in this scenario, it's survivor takes all. Okay, but we all
And you learn how to fight sea monsters too, so
Exactly.
in case we have to,
Yes.
fight some sea monsters.
exactly. Now I do. I'm feeling some judgment over your way, Brady.
No judgment.
bro.
It's just that 3 of us did. This is going to be an interesting cut because 3 of us did this thing one way, and then one of us did it a whole other way. So, go on. It's a funny bit.
Okay.
It's a funny bit.
Okay, number 3, I chose Catan.
Okay.
Catan, you're harvesting grains from the island. You're harvesting lumber,
Bricks.
bricks. You're able.
Sheep.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there's livestock.
Yeah, there might be some.
So
there might be some animals that we can domesticate.
This is what we use to establish a civilization.
I played Minecraft. I know how this
in
works.
case other castaways come to our
I have, and
island.
I'm screwed.
This is how we rebuild civilization. This is our way of.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 2.
Which one's the robber?
Number 2. Now, say that we're all on the beach. We're doing our little tasks for the island, and we see a ship in the distance, and they come to us and they pick us up. They offer to bring us to the mainland, the motherland, if you will.
The mother.
Now,
Motherland.
assume that one of us is a traitor amongst us.
Okay. Oh shit.
If I swear to God, if you mention eldritch horror creatures, I'm gonna.
Number 2 is unfathomable.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Now, I
I appreciate the bit. I will say that I appreciate
now,
the bit.
I do enjoy like a hidden traitor type game, and unfathomable. It's made that much of an impression on me to
Yes.
take it. And number 1, okay.
Uh-huh.
The most important thing is we need food. We need to figure out how to sustain ourselves. Wingspan. It shows us. It shows us.
You had me. You had me until Wingspan.
What? It's an educational board game. It tells
It
us
is
that
educational.
the different habitats in which birds occupy.
We have to get probably the right expansion for it.
And all expansions included.
Okay,
All
yeah.
expansions
The
included.
eldritch horror expansion
Yeah.
of Wingspan.
With these, in my opinion, with these 5 board games, we will survive.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ethan Prepper Skinner.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ethan,
He'll
for
be
that.
here all night. Tip
Yeah.
your waitress.
Yeah.
I don't
Not
know,
the fi-
I don't know
not-
about y'all, but I think that's an amazing list.
It's pretty well. I think placement is key.
We will judge such during the contender discussion.
Yeah.
Jody, you ready or is it me?
Jody's already done
was.
his.
Jody gets to do 2 lists this week. I've decided. Brady, go for it. I don't even know what the
Jesus
fuck I'm
Christ.
talking about anymore.
All right. So 3 of these came pretty quickly to me. And then the last 2 I actually had to do some serious thinking about. I had a really long short list. My joke wasn't as funny as Ethan's joke. This is the only time that this will happen. So mark it on your calendar, people.
On this day, N.O. Domini or C, if you prefer.
So some of the things that I took into account was this is something that I want to play for a very long time over and over. It's going to give me enough of a variety that it can be played over and over. There is something in there that can change or can do something different. And I also, even though we did say all expansions, like some of these can get kind of ridiculous. So I was also thinking, can I get this down to 2 or 1 boxes? And some of this is a little bit cheating, but all of these I have, and they are all down to like 1 or 2 boxes. Or in one thing's case, I think that you can get most of it into 2 boxes. So the first one, I wanted something that's kind of heavy, kind of meaty. This kind of a Euro type thing. So I went with Arc Nova. I think that this is like, because the deck of cards is like so big, especially with the aquarium expansion. It's so big that like you're never going to see the same type of animals twice. The combination of animals. Also, there are multiple different zoos with different kind of little powers or different ways to score in them, so you can always try different things with that. There's also a solo version of it. I've never played it, so I don't know exactly how good it is, but there is that. So I went with Arc Nova because I think that this is a meaty game that you can like spend a lot of time learning how to play. The next one, I tried to choose something that was not super heavy and not super involved, was something that is light but can have a lot of variety, and it can be played in like a very tight, with, say, if you're playing it with 2 players, it gets to be a very tight, cutthroaty game, and with when you're playing it with more people with different maps, it's a little bit different. But you can even play it. There's a co-op version of it where you can play on teams, and that is Ticket to Ride, because there's so many different maps that do different things that I think that you could get this mostly into 2 boxes, or at least have enough of the maps in 2 boxes that it is a pretty good variety. And again, if you're playing it with 2 players, it's super, it can be super tight, especially if you're playing on those like low player count maps that are made for 2 or 3 players. But then it's also just kind of we're gonna play on the Europe map, and it's just gonna be a light breezy type thing where we're just trying to play. And it's not super thinky. There's not a lot of brain drain that's gonna happen with this one. Number 3 is one that is definitely not going to get picked for the contender, because I know for a fact that nobody else has played this. And this is a solo game. So hey, even if I get stuck on an island by myself, even if I am Tom Hanks on the island, I can play a game all by myself and have a really good time with it, and that is the game Final Girl. Even if you just have the season 1 or 2 box, I think that there's enough in there, because you can always play a different Final Girl who has a different power. You can always play a different combination of killer and location that all have different rules. Even with the one that I have, there are different like scenarios that you can even play, that they'll play this killer with this thing with these little rules with it. So there's a lot of thing with that, and it's enough strategy, plus there's luck involved because you are rolling dice to do things. So it can't ever be gamed. I think that's a big one that Jody mentioned. There are some of these like, and one of the reasons with Arc Nova is I don't think Arc Nova, some of these Euro games can get to where, this is the correct way to play. If this happens, then we do this. And I wouldn't want a game on a desert island that we're all playing to where we're just playing it by rote. I don't want like a Puerto Rico where it's just, Jay did this, so I know I have to do this. And I don't think any of these games you can get like that. So Final Girl, I think that's a really good one. You get a lot of variety, and you can play it by yourself, and even and you could make it multiplayer where everybody's kind of making the decisions with you. but it you don't get as much from doing that. But yeah, Final Girl. The second one, this is a game where it has tons and tons of variety. I have the big box of it, so I have so much stuff. There's different events. There's different people that you can play. There's a whole. I have a book with it that's got all these scenarios where when you're bored playing the regular game, you can just change things up. There's little modules that you can take in and take out. There is even kind of a robot player that you can add in for if you're playing with less than the required amount of people. But I think it also plays very good, and you can play the game differently every single time. And this is Western Legends. I played this with you before. This is a sandbox game where you can kind of do whatever you want. So one game you can say I'm going to be an outlaw, and then I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna rustle cattle, and I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna rob banks and stuff like that. And the next time I'm gonna
gamble all my
or I'm just gonna keep gambling. I'm gonna just keep playing, No Limit Hold'em and all these other games. So there's different things that you can do, and depending on what your character is, it changes the way you play, what you start with, where you start, so much stuff. And with the expansion, like with both the big expansions, there's so many different things with it. There's even like multiple versions of kind of a story system where you're doing these little things to get bonuses and stuff like that. So there's so much in this game that I think that this is a good one. And then the last one. And this is, even though this is considered to be a semi-co-op game, I think it's only worth playing co-op. So this is going to be my co-op game, but there's also so much for this that I don't think you will either die or get rescued before you play all the combinations of this. And this is Marvel Legend.
I knew it.
Yeah. And this I can fit in 2 boxes because I've got 2 of those big card boxes, and I was able to fit everything that I own, which is I don't even have everything, and I think that just the stuff that I have is enough to where you will never play the same game twice. There are so many scenarios, there are so many masterminds that you play as, there are so many combinations of heroes to recruit that you're never going to play the same game twice. You could play this, literally, like I said, until either you die on the island or you get rescued, and you will never, ever, ever play the same game twice. You might not even play the same scenario twice. Like it's that different. There's so much with this, and we have all the time in the world. So setup and teardown is not a problem, even though it can be a beast. We can if we play it enough, we're just going to get this down to a rote science. So Marvel Legendary, that is my number 1.
All right, very good there. All right, so my overriding theme for mine will be revealed as it comes out. There is going to be one exception. I will note it then. So my number 5 is Pandemic. Matt Leacock, who has a new game about, I can't remember the name of it, but he partnered with another person. And it's about global warming and about the nations world coming together, which I really want to get that game, and I can't remember the name of it. If it's at CoastCon, I'm buying it. It just is. But Pandemic, everybody coming together for the common goal of stopping a disease. I think a lot of it is about people coming together on the island and being able to come together and work towards a problem. My number 4 is Horrified, but specifically Universal's Horrified Universal Monsters, because it is the simplest of the ones that I've seen so far. I do like me some Horrified. It's very good. Once again, it's about people coming together to solve multiple problems at all once, and it's about targeting those problems and which ones the most pressing ones we got to eliminate with, while also keeping an eye on the other ones there. I think that's a very big thing if you're stuck on a desert island with people. My number 3 is my exception, and this is Hive. I like a very simple game where 2 people, if you have a quarrel, we need to resolve it, and there's no other way to resolve it other than we will throw it to bones, and we're going to go with Hive, and whoever casts the right game will win there. So number 3 is Hive. My number 2 is Mysterium. So again, everybody is working in common goal. And also it has very pretty artwork. It reminds us of what we lost and hopefully will one day have again. And it's a very good way to unwind, in my opinion, with everybody working together. My number 1, being on a deserted island is a tense situation. We should all be working together. and we need to make sure that we're working together for a goal, and we may not have a lot of time because we may have to handle other things on the island. So a game that takes exactly 10 minutes, no more, no less, into a tense situation about working together. Escape the Curse of the Temple.
No, Jesus.
Is my number one board game that I want on a desert island. I want to reinforce we all work together or we all lose. That's how this works, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so that is our lists. Gentlemen, we have 20 separate games on this board.
Yeah.
Nobody crossed. So discuss.
I'm just saying. Ticket to Ride, rails and sails, boats. It's a way for us to. It's a way for us.
Is that
to
your
live.
argument for putting it on the contenders?
I'm not saying
My
it's
Ticket
a
to Ride does
contender.
not include rails and sails. I do not particularly like that version.
Notating that it has boats. It has
Yeah.
the sails aspect to it. That's all I'm saying.
Strangely enough, no sailboats, just tugs.
Boats nonetheless.
I vote Final Girl because nobody else put a solo game on, specifically solo game on here.
Yeah,
I vote
mine
Final
mine
Girl
is
go
one
on
of the
there.
only ones. Well, Wingspan has a solo version.
Yeah, the Atoma version, but
me
Final
see.
Girl is solely soul, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
it's
is-
only solo.
that is what-
To me, Final Girl, it sounds like it's advertised as a solo game, but it also has a multiplayer aspect
No,
to
No,
it.
it is.
Final
It
has
is
no
a.
multiplayer.
It is. You could technically do it because you have like a hand of cards and you're rolling dice, and you could make decisions of like what you could make decisions as a group as to what you're going to do. But you are literally only playing one character. You are playing the final girl. So you could all sit together. Like I've thought about like breaking it out with my daughter and being like, okay, we're going to play this, and then you can help me make decisions and stuff like that. But I don't know how. I don't even know how interesting that would be.
If I'm on a deserted island with someone, they have Wingspan, and I find out they're playing it by themselves, immediate suspicion. If I know someone's got Final Girl, it's like, oh, they need to work out some shit. They need to, I think this is a more positive final experience. I nominate Final Girl for being on the contenders.
I have no objections.
No, I don't object.
Final Girl's on the contenders.
I did not know that. I feel like you did that just to spite me because I said
No. Real talk. We have is almost all co-op.
Yeah.
But we have co-op across all of the lists. We have the only thing we didn't have on here uniquely was a uniquely solo game.
Okay.
Like if Friday or some of the other solo only experiences were on up there, or like if someone said a deck of cards for solitaire,
Yeah.
if something had been like that, you had the one unique choice out of all of this. Like I said, if you're playing Wingspan alone, I'm wondering what you're doing over there. It's a very suspicious thing. You could play with all of us. We're all here. It's like that. So that's why I
Wingspan
say
actually
like,
has an interesting single player mode. But yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not gonna like. It's one of my things on there, so I'm not gonna like super.
All right. Does
throw a fit.
anybody want to trumpet something that belongs to them or something that belongs to somebody else that you hadn't considered until you first saw it today?
Again, it's really weird because like two of us went in one direction, then two of us went in the other direction. I'm surprised that I tried to put a 2-player game on mine. I just didn't have room. I was thinking of there's Summoner Wars, Seven Wonders Duel,
Splendor Duel also fits a good hole.
Splendor Duel.
Right.
I thought about it, but I think the other two that I mentioned get way more variety, especially Summer Wars, because you can always play like different combinations of heroes, and then you can even make your own decks. But I like that I do think that like Hive fits in a lot of my criteria because since it's like an abstract, it's almost like a chess-like game to where I think that you can play chess. I don't think would be a good desert island game.
No, because you could game that at some point.
Well, eventually, like chess is mostly being good at chess is mostly about memorizing the moves.
Right.
Like once you memorize and learn the moves, like it's
Hive has something on chess in that the board is never the same.
yeah, the board is different. So there is some variety. I like Hive. What else sticks out to me?
To me, a lot of these games is complex boards, like multiple miniature pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Crocono is just one board and discs that you sling. with some pins in the board.
And I think it's also our only dexterity game we mentioned.
Yes.
It's the only dexterity game, and I think that not that we need to pit the only. I think that's the only like really like straight up 2-player games. Like I know some of the games have 2-player options, but Hive and Crokinole are really.
Crokinole can go to 4, but yeah, it's typically played.
It's typically 2-player.
It's best at 2. I would
Yeah,
imagine.
it's dexterity versus strategy.
Yeah, like abstract.
Abstract.
Yeah.
So that's a tough cookie there.
We can put both on there. I don't think there's anything that precludes one from the other.
Or
being
we
on
could
there.
come. We could come back to that as well.
Absolutely.
As well.
Does anybody have the bullet, or are we not doing that for this one?
Okay, so Jody, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first ever chalkboard you've been around. We hold a nuclear magic silver irradiated, any other things we've called it, bullet. And that right now is being held by Jody. It was provided to him by Ethan the last time. If he uses the bullet, he must give the bullet to another traveler for the next chalkboard, but he currently holds that bullet. Is anything striking right now? Also, he cannot use the bullet to eliminate any of our number ones, but anything else can be removed from consideration.
Not currently.
Not currently. Okay.
So I'd like to throw something out there. One of the games that was on my short list that I didn't mention was similar to a game that's on Jay's list. Dixit was one of my thoughts as well. Mysterium, I think, is a phenomenal game that has a lot of replay with what you can do with it. It's going to be different every time you play it. You can't really game that game.
Yeah.
And it's an output. It's a way it's played to output those. Okay, you're on a deserted island. You literally have nothing else to do other than survival. And then those times when you don't need to survive, you got to think of something. And it's a way, I think, of kind of getting those thoughts out of your head. Like I get the Dixit argument there, and like I think Mysterium also it works specifically.
Right.
But again, it's more targeted.
Yeah.
And again, if we're on a deserted island with a group, I want people thinking collectively for the betterment of the group. That's why that's what most of mine were kind of.
I think all the games we have listed are all unique in some way, and they all stand out. But I think among them, Mysterium is one of the few that are like that are outlier. Like Final Girl, is also like one of those, which is already.
I do think that a co-op needs to be on there.
But in strictly co-op, because you can argue that Letters from Whitechapel is also co-op, but there's the
one person
there's
is
a hidden
against the other.
Trader that
And like I
everyone
said,
else is ganging
technically Marvel Legendary is semi-co-op, but nobody really plays that. Everybody counts up the points and it's like, oh, cool. And then at the it's more about, oh,
we won.
We won.
Some of those scenarios are
Some of those
fucking
ceremonies
untouchable.
are fucking possible. But the
Hulk Loki Legacy Virus is just almost impossible.
Yeah. But yeah. So I think like some sort of, and again, I would, it's my number one, so I'm going to advocate for it, but like Marvel Legendary, but I think Mysterium's also a good one, another good one with there. I think, I'll be honest, like Horrified and Pandemic, I don't think that there's enough variety with them. Although I will be honest with Pandemic, I haven't played any of
the expansions. To me, add a good bit. The one I would exclude, obviously, is the trader mechanic where you have the dude plaguing the world. Because again, like it's also one of the reasons why Letters. If I had the bullet, I would shoot Letters only because if you're on a deserted island, I don't want to ever set up this thing where it's like everybody versus that one person.
Yeah,
like there's a little. Again,
then you get a Lord of the Flies type situation, and we don't want that.
And I know which one's going to be Piggy because I'm just saying. I'm pointing at myself, people.
I'm also just going to point out. You put that Jay as the robber and right next to Catan.
Yeah.
So also a little sus, but
Catan I would say no because it's not. If we're on the island, it's super unfun because Jay is not fun to play Catan with.
No.
I think I could give you a run for your money, but I don't know. We've never played, and I don't know if we ever will.
Yeah.
Because we probably still want to be friends.
Yeah, legitimate. Like, yeah, you and me, and then Jody would be like a couple extra. I see that game as like 10-7, 6-2. Because we're not letting him build fuck all anything.
Yeah, this is true.
You're never getting the longest road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was going to say Pandemic, it would be Cthulhu Pandemic because that's like the great variation of that game.
Now, if I wouldn't count this, I would count base. I think that's what he meant was base Pandemic and expansions. I think if we could get just like the different versions of Pandemic, because they do play kind of differently. Like Fall of Rome plays way differently than some of the other ones.
Iberia is probably the closest to regular Pandemic, but it offers some really kind of unique scenarios.
It does some different things. But
I will say I am not including Pandemic Season 1, Season 2, or Season 0 for the legacy games.
Right.
Well, we would play 24 games of each of those, and then we couldn't play the rest anymore.
And then when we're rescued, we leave them on the island.
Yeah,
for the next people to find them.
I vote to put Mysterium.
Well, the next people can't play them.
We have a vote for Mysterium, which I will second.
I have no issue with Mysterium, but
that I'm outvoted, so it's just
Well,
I think that
it's like
I think that there needs to be at least one co-op on there, and that's not a bad one. So
right. Mysterium's on the board. Okay.
I will say that like Wingspan was one of the ones that was on my my short list because there is like a wide variety. You never know what.
Like you're not gonna see the same birds.
Even in the base game, like the combination of birds, like you're never gonna get the same thing. I really like that one.
So, my grandfather had a crokinole board. He got it from so this was like in the 60s when he first started shrimp boating. And a gentleman from Nova Scotia came down and they struck up a friendship, but he was only down for the winter. I don't think they were shrimping at the time because I don't think shrimp was in season, but they were out on the water like doing some sort of fishing. And he went back to Nova Scotia and he gave my grandfather his crokinole board, and my grandfather then would give that to me. Except we couldn't find it again.
Right.
And then we found it, and my aunt's cats had ripped it apart with their claws, and then they pissed where they clawed it, and so the whole board was ruined because it was made of like whatever the finest Canadian wood is. That thing was a gorgeous board. I remember it being so gorgeous.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I want a crokinole board if I'm going to be on a desert fucking island. So I vote for crokinole.
See, you give us that America's Got Talent sob story. You might as well be like, I had cancer, but it got better.
I lost my leg in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I replaced it with a crokinole board, and now now it's my only leg.
Yeah, it's Jesus
I
Christ.
met a girl, and she asked me to give her my crokinole board so we could go to New Orleans together, and I did, and then she never showed up.
I think we've got a solo game. We've got a co-op game. I don't. Somebody's gonna have to like super talk me into. You're gonna have to give me more than a sob story for me to vote for crokinole.
Crokinole is also a dexterity game, which we'll have to keep up and running on the desert island. So I believe is a good test of dexterity as well.
That's a little bit different because we're flicking stuff. Like
to me, crokinole it seems more the most like 1v1 competitive board game.
Also, if you wanted to get your aggression out, you could get it out on the board without actually punching somebody in the face. You can
just don't scratch it and piss on it because you'll fucking ruin the board. That's how y'all would get back at
the
me.
humidity on the desert island is probably going to warp the board in like a month. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would warp all of the boards.
Then we better get a month's worth of enjoyment.
Yeah. Let's assume now all of these board games will last a month, and we're just gonna kill one another.
God damn.
I didn't prepare that one.
There you go. That should have been a legacy game. It's like we're finished, and then after we're finished with it, we just kill one another. A lot of quiet, no lot of talk. So let's move away from crokinole and hive, and let's go to something else. So we've mentioned deck building. So Dune Imperium's on the board. Marvel Legendary's on the board. Do we have any other deck building on the board?
I mean, not deck building, but Wingspan is a hand building card game.
It's a tableau builder.
Tableau
engine
builder.
building.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I guess that would actually Wingspan would probably be closer to matching with Roll because it's a tableau building game as well.
those are closer together.
Gotcha.
We've also got we got some good representation from Heavy Euro. We got Arc Nova. We got Gaia Project. Abyss approaches that. I don't know if
it's not super heavy.
It's not super heavy, but it does approach that because there's a good number of moving components there at least.
It's midweight, I would say. Like
Western Legends, I think, is a little bit heavier.
It's heavy because there's a lot going on, but like what
Mhm.
you're actually doing is not that super heavy. There's not like super brain burning strategies.
Jody, why
but
isn't
it is.
Trajan on here?
Because as convoluted as that game is, I believe after playing it, if I played that game more often, I would probably, even though it's a little, it's not really that random. It's definitely like heavy strategy. You could game Trajan.
Yeah, failed games mostly are pretty. There are some that I think you have some amount of randomness in it. Like I think Merlin has enough randomness
Right.
in
Merlin,
it.
I think, is the most random. But
Right.
Castles of Burgundy, like
Castles of
dice
Burgundy.
rolling is involved in there. So
Right.
In some ways, Oracle of Delphi, but a lot of his games are like super. We're gonna take the randomness out.
Right.
You know, Euro, so you can get very gamed. Like you can do. I don't think they can get to the point of like a Puerto Rico where you have like a
No,
basic
it's not
strategy.
that. It's not that
But-
far.
but-
I will say this: he loves him a rondelle.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Mhm.
Yeah, Rondell. Yeah, he's all about them.
The reason why Gaia Project's on there is because like that's I couldn't foresee anybody being able to game that. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many moving parts to that and Terra Mystica. Like,
I played Terra Mystica. I haven't played Gaia
it's
Project.
the same game except they consolidated some of the moving parts. It's literally the same game, just a little bit more streamlined.
Yeah. Terra Mystica is very brain burning. Which I think one of them.
I think we need at least one big heavy game.
One heavier game on the list, I think, would be good. So you can, that's keeping your mind sharp.
How are y'all feeling about like the hidden movement, the hidden traitor amongst us type thing?
That's for me. That's going to be a hard no.
Yeah,
Like if it
I
were
understand
3-on-1, I still have the pen. I'm not writing it on the board. That's how that you have to from my
Right.
cold dead hands this way. I like it like in a scenario like, oh, we finish that game and we go back to being friends. That's great. We finish the game and we're still stuck on this deserted island. It's like, did he actually crash the plane?
Yeah.
Is this all his fucking plans? And then we kill someone and then they weren't that way. I don't like the idea of that. I don't like the notion.
Yeah. I feel the same way about that. Like, Letters from Whitechapel is a good. We also probably on a desert island, you don't want to constantly be playing a game about murder,
Right.
where it's just reminding people about murder.
Yeah, because if we put a pig's head on a stick and it starts talking to one of us, yeah. And that's the one that got murdered.
Yeah.
There's also the Horrors of Unfathomable, which is like a cooperative game until it's not.
I think for the same reason that
yeah.
Unfathomable is not. We don't want to sit there and think about like traitors.
Like who's going to stab me in the back?
That
while
I
I'm
think is
sleeping?
even worse than Letters from Whitechapel because because there's going to be a traitor
Yeah.
in there.
Right.
So you like so you're constantly thinking about that, and then that's going to stick with you. So that's a problem. Also, playing a game about being on a boat is going to piss me off because it's going to be just constantly thinking about like
Right.
where's the fucking boat.
Right. So we've actually kind of like process of elimination. We've already kind of eliminated a few choices to make our.
I think we're universal on that. No pun included with horrified. Again, any bullets you want to throw out?
Not
Not
currently.
yet? Not currently?
Not
Okay.
yet.
All right.
Not unless we get to a point where there's an issue.
This list is reminding me of the fact that I haven't really done any heavy Euros in a while.
Yeah.
Like, I've never played Arc Nova. I've played Terra. I've not played Gaia Project.
Yeah.
The one that we really wouldn't want to have, even though it's one of my favorite, is Archipelago. Because, like you said, we're trapped on an island. Oh, there's
Right.
boats everywhere. Why can't we get one? No, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be on there. But that's like one of the most prevalent heavy Euros that I've played in a while.
Right. I have played Arc Nova. Arc Nova is amazing.
Arc Nova's pretty good.
It's pretty sweet.
Of the heaviest on here, and this one's like medium going too heavy, but isn't heavy yet. Is Wingspan.
Wingspan. Yeah.
For that, I'll offer up Wingspan. I'm not saying nominating it, but I mean, it was enough to be Ethan's number one, even though if there was a comic bent to his list. I don't think that is a joke.
Wingspan, it's in my top 5 of favorite board games.
Like I said, that one was on my short list. Like that was one that I seriously thought about. Because there is such a variety in that.
And assuming that we're including, like, was it 2-3 expansions into it?
Yeah, because you'll have the European birds, you have Oceania, and you have Asia.
Yeah. You're not gonna, assuming all those are like mixed in thoroughly, you're not gonna see the same combination of
it's a wide variety.
Kill Wingspan.
It's number
Wingspan.
one.
Yeah,
Wingspan's number
you
one.
can't touch it.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck.
See, this is why we can't be on a deserted island.
Yeah. Jesus.
Because they went from Kill Wingspan to Kill Ethan.
Before we got on the Wingspan tangent, I was literally about to say Ark Nova and Gaia Project are the 2 heaviest games on the lists, and I think that if we were comparing the two, which one do you think should go on there, hypothetically?
I'd have to say Ark Nova, only because I've never played Gaia Project.
Well, I could use the same argument for Abyss because I've never played Abyss, and I've also never played Jay's number one.
I haven't played Gaia Project, but I have played Terra Mystica,
which is adjacent. It's the same
I don't
game.
even think I've played Terra Mystica. I don't believe.
Yeah. It's. If I had my choice, I would play Ark Nova just because it's also a more interesting theme. Because you do have like animals and something that's like easier to grasp. It's like, okay, well, this is a zoo. This has you have to have these animals by this thing. Like everything kind of makes sense with it. Again, I am biased with that because it is on my list.
Sure.
So take that into account.
And you own Ark Nova, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I've played Ark Nova enough to enjoy it, so I would not argue if it was offered up for a contender.
But I do like Terra Mystica. I do like. I've been wanting to play it again. And it is a good brain burnery game. That has a lot of thinking. I think that they both are. I think he's right with they are both on pretty much the same weight where they are super thinky and super crunchy.
So here's where my impasse is. I've heard good things about Ark Nova, but I've not played it. I've played Terra Mystica, which is the more complicated. And one of my issues with Terra Mystica is I always thought it was a little bit more complicated than it needed to be. And if Gaia Project slimmed that down, then my vote would be Gaia Project. We're 2 for 2, and you still have a bullet.
Are you gonna blow up the zoo?
I don't want to blow up the zoo.
He's gonna
right
blow
now.
up the zoo.
I don't want to
That's
blow
how
up the
this
zoo
is gonna
right now.
end. I've seen the future.
Brady, have you played Escape the Cursed Temple?
Yes. I do not like that game.
If he had the bullet, he would be insisting every minute to shoot that.
Yes.
Every minute.
Even though it's number one.
Yeah.
Because it is random because you're rolling dice and it is timed and it is. I don't like that kind of tension.
I like it because it's random and it's timed.
Yeah.
Like it's 2 of my favorite things about
I don't like timed most of the time.
Yeah,
it has
Escape
to be
from the Curse of the
specific.
Temple. I think I played it once or twice, and if I never play it again, I will be okay.
Galaxy Trucker wants me to punch somebody in the face.
Galaxy Trucker, it's right up there with Galaxy Trucker. Right under that because it's a little bit more tolerable is XCOM the board game.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to play that one again. It's all of those games that have that timed aspect.
And
XCOM
I own all 3 of
XCOM
those.
is a little bit better because there's less randomness. But
in the planning stage, there's way less randomness.
But those two, like there is so much randomness and it's timed that it is no, can't do it.
Yeah, I love time games. I like having a pressure point and meeting the demand of that pressure point. There's something about that is satisfying for me.
I think if that was one of the games, we'd all die of heart attacks. Like,
Also, where's the sound of the gong coming from? Because we don't have I'm assuming we don't have a cell phone.
Trained monkeys on the island.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a problem. Like, where is the soundtrack coming from?
No, it's trained monkeys. Don't worry. We got this. We got this.
We have a monkey on standby that just screams.
I have a solar battery tied up to a CD player.
Okay.
We're going to be fine.
Sure.
If we can presume all of pandemic with its expansions, someone packed a solar battery. I'm just saying.
Hey, I kept mine reasonable, so I can't complain about mine.
I don't know how you get Marvel Legendary in 2 boxes.
It's not too actual, but
It's not too actual. It's theoretical boxes.
those card boxes, those dual side, those two-sided card boxes. I got all of mine.
Okay, I was just thinking
And
about
I
the
know
Marvel,
this is true because I got all of mine down into 2 of those boxes.
Yeah.
So,
Counselor, we accept your then.
it was in 4. It was in 4. It was in 4.
The tribunal takes judicial notice. We're good.
Okay, all right. And I was running out of room.
Are me and Brady the only ones that's played Western Legends? Or
I've played it
possibly.
once.
You played it once.
I played it once.
I have not played it yet.
That was one my 3, 1, 2, and 3 were like these were instantly, especially 1 and 2. Like these were instantly like
right.
Okay, these are things. Marvel Legendary also is really fun it can also be easily played solo. So like if you're on I have 2 games on there where if you're alone, like you can 100% play.
What was weird for mine is 1, 2, 4, and 5. Boom. Because I went, but I knew also to have something else other than cooperative. Because otherwise, then it's a top 5 cooperative board game list.
Yeah,
right.
And then the more I thought about Hive, the more I thought about people just want to sometimes pair off with somebody and just like if you want to shoot the shit or do something like that, throwing down a tie. Chess, you can't really do that because chess requires you with all 16 pieces on your side and then on their side to be absolute attention. You can like put a bug down and like talk for 5 minutes and then they put their bug down and you just keep going.
Yeah. It can be tense, but it can also be very chill. I like Hive.
As variable as it is, the board is way more readable than chess because there is no board.
And chess is always the person who has played and studied chess more is always going to win just about. Like it is very, very rare that somebody comes like knows less and has played less and wins.
Oh, very true.
And Hive, I think you can still, because there is that kind of randomness that does happen that, you always have a chance.
Okay. Let's focus on some things right here. So we had a 2 for 2 for Gaia Project Arc Nova. We've divided Hive and Crokinole into a versus battle. I think we've mentioned tacitly Wingspan along with Gaia Project and Arc Nova for heavier side, not heavy, but heavier.
Heavy-ish.
Well, it was like Wingspan and Roll for being tableau games were something that we mentioned as well.
And kind of midweight.
Yeah.
Deck building, we've mentioned Dune Imperium, Marvel Legendary. Are any of these verses kind of, if we rank the verses, what verses to you it rises to the top as far as like priority? For me, it's that heavy Euro. It's that heavy Euro, that heavier game, complex game that kind of rises to the top because I think there's something where if you're practicing deep, like targeted thought, I think that will help you out on a deserted island when you actually have to do like other like meaningful things for deep targeted deep thought. So that's me on there, and so I would put, unless somebody wants to disagree with this, Arc Nova versus Gaia Project. It's 2 for 2. Does anyone want to sway one way or the other on that to put the other one on and therefore put them in the contenders?
I know it's on my list, but this is the only real as we're like digging deep into the reality of actually being on a desert island. I would be wanting more for escapism. Because Gaia Project is science fiction. You're terraforming planets versus terraforming Earth, like Terra Mystica. So you have like all that escapism with all that like hardcore, heavy Euro gaming involved in it. Versus Arc Nova, which is you might be reminded of animals that you might not ever see again.
That's heavy. Heavy Euro. You can always shoot Arc Nova. Just saying.
Fine.
Okay. Shooting Arc Nova. Does that put Gaia Project in the top 5?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Gaia Project.
We have no choice. I was about to mention how tenuous that science fiction is in that. If it's as tenuous as the fantasy is in Terra Mystica.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That is a problem with and particularly with the Feld Euros, in the fact that you could skin that anything. It could be Castles of Burgundy, or it could be like In-N-Out Burgers of California.
That's also true.
Well, they're literally taking a Queen game is literally taking like a lot of his games and just here's a city.
Right. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night.
That is fair.
And
That is fair.
Yes.
2 spots left. Anything? What rises from what we've discussed, or anything we have not yet touched yet?
Going into the deck building side of things, of like Marvel Legendary and Dune Imperium, I think I'd lean towards Dune. It's not only is it a deck building type game, but it's also board. It's also a board game. It's resource management, dudes on boards. You kind of get a little bit of everything in it. So that's why I would push for Dune.
That one was on my short list, but I feel like eventually that one would get wrote. That's why I didn't put it on there.
Well, we have we have the expansions.
Yeah, even then I thought about that, but it just didn't get as wrote as the other games that I did. But it was on my short list, so I'm not like super upset with it.
It's also,
I really do feel like a 2-player game needs to be on there, and my vote's for Hive, but I think I will be outvoted with that.
No, it's on my list, so I'm voting Hive with you.
Okay.
I'm okay with Hive being on there.
I enjoy Hive.
Hive's on there. All right. Hive. Final one. And why is it Wingspan?
Why didn't you circle mine, Jay? You've circled everybody else's but mine.
I'm saving it.
Oh, okay.
It's also because I forgot. Shut up.
That was like 2 circles ago.
Who are your favorite type of people, Jody?
Yuppies.
Okay, good.
Amazing underwater yuppies.
Yeah.
Grown.
Do you know why Brady insults Henry Kissinger all the time?
It can't offend anybody. He's dead.
Okay, moving on.
So Wingspan.
I think if we're talking about Wingspan, it's going to be versus Roll for the Galaxy. Both of those are very difficult to choose between because they both do similar things, and I think the variety is pretty similar. I think you're going to get a little bit more variety in Wingspan, but it's not going to be that much more.
Right. There are
Roll for the Galaxy's variety comes from the game itself because it's dice.
Well, you also have the different planets or technologies that you're going to draw.
when you're digging from the bag. There's a lot of random aspects of it. There's the random aspect of is your opponent going to choose the phase that you need? Are you guessing that they're going to pick that phase? Or are you going to like choose that phase yourself because you need it?
There's also the randomness of, hey, I might not be able to actually play my birds if everyone else is getting to the bird feeder before me, and you're also competing with others for the resources that you need.
Well, that's both games. Both games have that.
Yeah.
It's just more known, visibly versus like, randomly from a sack. It's,
I knew I was so sure that Jody was going to put Roll for the Galaxy on this list that I didn't even put it on my short list, to be honest.
That's kind of why I also didn't choose letters. Because I knew someone might have put it on theirs.
Can I say just real quick, from my regular top 5, only one of my regular top 5 games of all time is on my list. I liked the change in parameter that this added to it, because
I think Desert Island is something that we can do a pretty good bit because it changes the way that you're thinking about.
I think Roll's like only been on one of my other lists for board games.
But yeah, I'm gonna be honest. In that discussion of like, I don't know. It's a similar weight. It can be a similar way as well. I think Ticket to Ride is also in there,
right?
but they're different types of games. Like it's not as closely related to Wingspan and Roll for the Galaxy, but they can be of a similar weight because there is so much variety with the different. Depending on what map you play, it's going to be wildly different with how the game plays.
Right.
Playing fucking Heart of Africa is so cutthroat, intense, whereas playing one of the bigger maps like the United States is just kind of
or if you're playing Europe and you have train stations, so just in case you do get blocked off, you can use stuff there. I want to just put the primary loop for Ticket to Ride is pretty like it's steady. It's like you either drawing cars, placing trains, or getting tickets. Wingspan, it's your drawn cards or your play, and it's the randomness can be in the cards that you draw. Roll for the Galaxy, the primary loop involves dice primarily, and that is always random.
Yeah.
Even with stuff that might mitigate that with luck mitigation, you still have this kind of like area where this provides for to me a tenser game. You can't, in my opinion, you can't game Ticket to Ride or Wingspan that much, especially when you start adding like the extra birds or different maps or different modules. If you have the different because they have some expansions that weren't maps like Alvin and Dexter, Alvin the Alien, Dexter the Dinosaur, which blow up fucking tracks and shit. That could be something that might be kind of fun. I don't really know where I was going. I think it's like massive randomness, less randomness, very rare on the randomness, except for like as far as like what you're planning on doing. It's kind of immediately kind of set out to you. You have a lot more control of it in Ticket to Ride.
Yeah. I think that's something also to think about Wingspan is that, again, I love Wingspan, but like sometimes there can be sometimes when you're playing, it can be kind of feel bad because you just don't get the cards that you need and they don't fit with any of your stuff. And the person next to you, oftentimes when we play, it's fucking Cameron, gets this perfect combo that lets him do all of this bullshit, and you're just sitting there going, "Well,
if
I
you
guess
ever played with Austin, it's the same.
Yeah. Those two are phenomenal at seeing what they need and being able to acquire it, and it's not for any kind of cheating or any kind of
no.
They are very good
focused
at assessing the board and knowing what to do and what the best choice is.
And because there is random, they just get lucky sometimes, and it seems like it's more times than often.
If the debate was Wingspan versus Roll, let's now go from Roll to Ticket to Ride. And does that change the discussion at all?
I'll be honest, even though Ticket's on my list, like that's a more difficult one. Because I've kind of talked myself into Roll when it comes to versus Wingspan. But now it's hard to tell.
Let's put all three: Roll, Ticket, or Wingspan. My vote's Ticket to Ride.
I played Roll with one of those expansions, but I know one of those other ones expansions, which is more expensive than the fucking game somehow. And because of that, I don't think any of us has ever played it.
No. I looked into it, and the way that it changed some of the aspects of the game, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I know that they've got like a die that you change the faces on and stuff like that.
Yeah, they did like a Pandemic Legacy where they tried to do the seasonal thing with at least that one expansion. And it just, you don't need it. But the expansion I do have is
that other expansion I played most of the time. Most of the recent times that I played it adds an interesting thing. Just that one little die that gets added to your cup is like so big.
If we've got it down to these three: Ticket, Roll, and Wingspan, my vote is Ticket. I'm just curious what everybody else would.
Mine's Roll for the Galaxy.
Oh man,
Ethan, where are you?
It's really a toss-up. I enjoy all three of these games.
We all do,
but I have a bias.
That's why this is hard.
Yeah,
which is, and if I vote for mine, then Brady has like the my votes seals the deal sort of kind of weight.
Okay. So are you voting to game the system, or are you voting for your choice?
I'm gonna vote for my choice on Wingspan.
Wingspan.
Okay.
Brady. There'll be one more question after this, but what is your choice on this?
It's really difficult because I've kind of talked myself out of Wingspan, but the basic loop of Roll for the Galaxy is a little bit more of a variety because you have to work with what you roll. And then also you have all these things that can mitigate the dice that you have, but that there is a little bit more with that. The basic loop of Ticket to Ride is going to be the same thing, no matter, even if you're playing one of these different maps, but then the game itself is different, depending on what map you play. Because playing something, like the United Kingdom is totally different than playing, Asia or something like that. So it's actually this, even though Ticket to Ride is my game, this is a very difficult choice because I've kind of talked myself into liking Roll for the Galaxy more and more. Fuck. I don't particularly like having the choice on this.
Let me ask the question that I've kind of plateaued.
Okay.
So take whatever wins this, take the argument, set it to the side. Not completely out, just set it to the side. Is there any game that would surpass the winner of that argument that you would have on the list?
I mean, that's hard to say because Ticket to Ride's my number 4, and there are 2 other games on my list
that aren't on the list. No, I understand that, but like that supersedes the discussion. Now that we've had the discussion on this, just to add a little bit more weight on that, is there anything past that isn't one of those that you would still rather have up there?
No, I don't think so.
Then Brady, what's your choice?
Ticket to Ride. I don't know. It was really kind of a toss up, to be honest.
Ticket to Ride. Before we go into the top 5s, none of our number 1s hit the contenders list.
Mm-hmm.
No, not a single one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to me, that result makes for a very interesting result to a very interesting discussion. All right, we are at contenders phase. Final Girl, Mysterium, Gaia Project, Hive, and Ticket to Ride.
I say Final Girl number 5 because I'm the only person who's played that game.
That's fair.
Okay. Ethan?
I would put Final Girl at 5, not because of that, but it's more centered as a single player as opposed to a multiplayer sort of game.
Yeah.
Do we want to just do by player count?
Do you want to get out of here that fucking fast?
I was actually going to use the argument of like Hive is the only like 2-player game, and
So
this,
are we prefacing being able to engage more people?
I mean, I'm not.
The
other 3 games are going to be whatever the player count is.
Anyway, is that something that because I find value in that? I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, Ticket to Ride is 5. Depending on Ticket to Ride is actually depending on how you go.
I
5.
think Legendary Asia goes to 6
if
because
you
it's
play
3
the
teams
team.
of 2.
Gaia Project's
goes
4.
I think it's 5.
Does it go more than that?
I think it's 5.
I think
I just went generally because most Euro games go to 4.
Mysterium is 7, 1 ghost and 6 players.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mysterium goes to 7.
Yeah.
So
I think
But if you don't have 7 people on your island,
yeah.
So do we want to just again single player 5, 2-player 4, and then we can kibitz about the last 3?
I think Hive needs to be 4.
I have no quarrels.
Yeah. I think either Ticket to Ride or Mysterium to be one because I think those of the 2, those are what I think are legitimately of the ones that we have as contenders.
Right.
Those are the best that would be a really good desert island game.
I think Ticket to Ride should be number 1.
I would also agree with Ticket to Ride.
So hang on. So Gaia Project 3. Also, the accessibility. It's a heavier game. It's easier to get into Mysterium. It's easier to get your ticket to ride. So, okay. So Gaia Project 3.
Yeah.
Mysterium number 2.
I think I wrote Ivy instead of MY. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Ivysterium.
Ivysterium. We did an hour getting to 5 and then like 2 minutes to get the top 5.
Yeah.
That's
So
because
that's-
we're that good.
because we're
again,
tired.
It won't. Well, that again, it follows one or two things. The contenders, easy.
Right.
Top 5, fuck. Or
Yeah.
contenders, fuck. Top 5, whoosh.
That's usually
Yeah.
how it
Done.
goes,
Yeah.
one or the
Alrighty.
other.
Ladies and gentlemen, passengers of the omnibus, the travelers have decided this list is incontrovertible. It is unarguable. It is the only list that matters in this situation. The top 5 games to have on a deserted island. Number 5 is Final Girl. Number 4 is Hive. Number 3 is Gaia Project. Number 2 is Mysterium. And the number 1 game to have on a deserted island is Ticket to Ride, but not Rails and Sails, because if that boat don't come, you're going to get mad.
I like how this entire time you have said desert island like it's actually supposed to be, but I've kind of purposely been doing it, calling it a desert island. So
Maybe it's an island filled with Sundays. I mean, like ice
desert
cream
island
sundae.
would just be an island that doesn't get a whole lot of rain.
There you go.
There's a desert portion to this island somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
I don't want a desert island. I will sunburn.
Jared Hubbard and Kevin Shelton like hosting a show called Silence Your Cell Phones. It's a show where they talk about movies and streaming and TV. It's on all the podcasts. You should check them out. By podcast, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
They're on YouTube.
You
too.
know what the fuck we
You know
mean.
what the fuck I'm talking about.
If you've made it this far,
Yes.
God bless you.
you know the ending of this. Who are we kidding? You've probably already turned this off because you know where this is going.
Hey, Jody Kite, he hosts Fearology.
I do.
It's your own personal take on horror movies and your relationship with the horror genre.
Yeah.
All the
One episode every couple of months or something like that.
check them out on Spotify. Again, that's Fearology.
You know what we need to do one day is just do all of them. Each of us pick one and then we just all do them at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Just all overlaid with each other.
We need to script that.
Yeah,
Just
that
the way
would
it
be
is.
fucking
And we also
hilarious.
need to like kind of deafen ourselves so that we don't all just immediately bust out laughing when we all say the same word accidentally.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Whiskey and Wrestling, it's a podcast that is put out by our friends of the pod, Michael Hill and Jason Holder. They talk about wrestling, and they pair that with a libation of the alcoholic kind. I don't know, libation might actually mean alcoholic drink. I don't fucking know, but yeah, they talk about the wrestling that's happened. If they're paying attention to it, I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched wrestling in so long, and I don't even really miss
Michael like texted out a diatribe on AEW.
it. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, that's because I didn't read it because I don't. I kind of don't care about wrestling anymore right now. But yeah, but if you do care about wrestling and you want to hear what 2 white guys sitting in somebody's kitchen says about. I'm sorry, that was meaner than I meant it to be. It's late. I'm tired. I got here early and we still were so late starting. If any of that sounds interesting besides my incoherent rambling, check them out. They're on all the podcast places. You know where to find them.
Brady's new show, Get Off My Lawn.
Bearded Drums, Stephen Nelson II, and our friend Jarrett Taylor discuss all things drums from gear to gigs, along with live recordings of live performances, I believe, by Stephen. And it's just good fun times, and you should check them out. They're available on all major podcasting platforms and on YouTube. Cameron Spanier, the God Emperor of Gaming at MacNarb Gaming in Goshen, Mississippi, which we would like to thank for this wonderful studio space from which we've been recording tonight. But also, if you like to go over there, they've got all sorts of gaming accoutrement, from board games that you might take on a deserted island, and to card games that you may take on a deserted island, or dice that you take on a deserted island. I'm too far into the weeds on it. But yeah, MacNarb Gaming, Goshen, Mississippi. Check them out.
Do you want to get a fake trophy head for a green dragon?
Or a white dragon.
They got that. I don't know why, but they got them.
I think you have to buy them in twos.
I don't know.
I think. I'm not 100% sure on that.
There's a bunch of new dice too.
Yeah.
Yep.
but he
cool-
didn't.
cool
But all
looking
the
dice.
old ones that he didn't buy in twos.
Maybe they changed it. I don't know.
I don't know.
I know starting with like the Mimic,
Mhm.
it was in twos.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe there's something to
I
that
don't
as
know.
far as the distributors go.
It might be. I don't know. But yeah, if you want any of that, they got it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The completed podcast. I forgot. I almost forgot. I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
A Magic the Gathering centered podcast hosted by Christopher Vega, Brendan Scott Tanner, and Brendan Smith. They talk about competitive Magic, the scene and meta of Magic as it is. They
Deck metas.
deck metas. They have interviews with professional Magic the Gathering players, with Brendan Scott Tanner being a former Pro Tour player. Check them out. They are really good at what they do.
Join us next week as we go back into the audio files for a Mixmaster master tape. This time with our first guest DJ, one Jason Holder from the Whiskey and Wrestling Podcast. He's picked up 4 albums for us to listen to, and we will give our thoughts and feelings, which I think is pretty good. So, bus is rolling into the station, ladies and gentlemen. So, one more time around the room. My name is James McCarthy.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I'm Jody Moadib.
Huh?
God damn it. I'm Brady Davis.
You haven't been accepted into the tribe of the Fremen.
No,
There you go.
no, I haven't been spit at yet.
Usul no longer needs the weirding module.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for stopping by and enjoying the
But
ride,
do you
guys.
need the breeding pit?
I've discovered the power of the breeding pen.
We're slowly rolling off now.
The outro music has kicked in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yes. It's the
It's going to haunt me.
It's the
I feel like we've given Jay too much power.
Well, I think it's a nice little way to kind of end it, and because not just have the stuff going on,
He
and
is-
maybe
yeah.
stay around to what we say.
He is the one that got the new Roadcaster. So
I am the one that provided the intro and outro music.
He made that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Check out the Digital Devil
Digital
7
Devil,
Friendly Sins, the
yeah.
first album from one Jody Kite on
They have
Spotify.
turned this off way past now. We could literally
I'm
say whatever
celebrating
we
my
want.
friend. God damn it!
I'm going outside.